Hey everyone, James Labrie from Dream Theater, and you're listening to or watching the podcast Talking into Infinity with JT and Brian. Enjoy this. These guys are extremely informative. I love their dialogue. I love their interpretation of the songs, who and what we are, what we were going after. They're very accurate in their interpretations and descriptions, and I just think this is a great show, and these guys are doing a stand-up stellar job. So once again, enjoy Talking into Infinity with JT and Brian.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to a very special episode of Talking into Infinity, a Dream Theater podcast. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, talkingintoinfinity.com, and the cmsnetwork.com. We are at those fine locations every other Thursday, even though tonight's a Friday, at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you are watching on YouTube, please remember to click that like button, click that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell so that you get notified every single time that we go live. If you'd like to catch video replays of the show, just go to our YouTube channel or the YouTube channel of the CMS Network. And if you'd like to download audio versions of the podcast, just Google Talking into Infinity Podcast. So tonight is going to be a very, very cool episode. For those of you who were with us last year, you know the format. We're just going to talk about anything for as long as we feel like. And we do have some guest hosts lined up that will come on the show. Viewers, fans, whatever you want to call them, of the show. They're going to help us out and come on camera and be a part of the discussion. So that's going to be a blast. Our first guest host of the night, though, this is a good one. So this guy, unfortunately, he's got a face for radio, but I agreed to bring him on anyway. Mr. Brian Hendrickson, you were able to make it. You are not in St. Louis. Look at that.
I am not in St. Louis. And thank you for all those wonderful, beautiful words. We might have to change the intro when James says that we're extremely informative. Are we really extremely informative? I would say slightly informative, slightly above average when it comes to being informative. I don't know about
it. It could be clickbait, But hey, we got to get those like tens of views, right?
Yeah, it's good. It's cool to be here. Unfortunately, we had the flu and everything else is going around everywhere. So it's like one of those, you got to err on the side of caution. So I'm postponing my trip for 2 weeks. Only bummer is I was looking forward to watching the Ohio State Buckeyes with my family, and so now we'll have people rooting in 3 different states. So maybe that'll help. We need some for tomorrow. Some kind of love to get us through that.
Yeah, I get to miss the majority of that game because I'm playing a gig and we start at 8:30. So
now, will there be a TV screen on behind you?
No, it's across we're at a Moose Lodge, and so it's going to be the bar is across the room.
Okay.
So we might be able to vaguely see it on the little TVs over there,
okay.
But
it will be shown over in the other part of the bar.
Okay. Yeah. We're actually setting up a little early so we can be done and actually catch kickoff and watch about a half hour, but So, some crappy news right off the bat. Unfortunately, we had a gentleman by the name of Henning Mielke, who was going to be on right now with us from Germany. I think he said he's from around Frankfurt. I want to believe he's a pretty central area in Germany, anyway. And he actually works in the record business and was Dream Theater's label rep back in the mid '90s. And worked directly with Sylvia Rhone on some things. And for those of you guys who aren't familiar with who Sylvia Rhone is, she was kind of a controversial figure at Elektra Records because, she infamously, kind of basically buried Motley Crue, and they got so pissed off and made such a stink about her that she basically just threw them off the label and neglected to keep their master recordings. So that's why Motley Crue has all of their own masters. But yeah, he had a bunch of cool stories. He's worked with Queensryche and bands like that, and Dream Theater, obviously, and worked with Mike Portnoy. And unfortunately, he had to cancel last minute. He came down with COVID, and he feels awful. So he didn't want to be hacking into the microphone and whatnot. So Henning will not be joining us, but we do have 3 other guests, potentially 4, that'll be jumping on at regular intervals. And I might just shout them out here and be like, jump on. You guys got the link. So we're going to have our very good friend Chastity Crawley jumping on. Our good friend Sean Faust is coming on the show. Robert Husted emailed us and asked if he could come on the show. And then we also have Everett Painter, who is actually works with the Dream Theater USA fan club here in Cleveland. And Brian and I have hung out with him a couple times, once for the the View from the Top of the World show that we saw, and also for the John Petrucci show. So, if any of you guys just want to throw a comment out there in the chat, we'll just get rolling. And if you ever, see something that you're like, I got to jump on and talk about this, we can shoot you the link. I'll open up a browser and I can just email you the link, and you can just jump on camera for a bit and have a conversation with us. So, I will start it off. I just bought my first house, and we are in the process of moving. So the room around me behind my green screen is basically empty. But I was rooting through some stuff, and I found a CD that I thought that I had lost. And it was the audio CD that came along with the images and words version of Rich Wilson's fantastic Dream Theater biography, Lifting Shadows. And I thought I had lost that thing. So when I found it, I was like, yes! So I was driving around yesterday, and I was cranking some Dream Theater rarities, which... It was kind of funny, Brian, because most of the stuff that's on there now, pretty much all of us have.
Yeah.
But it was just cool because back then it was like, wow, this is kind of something I haven't heard before, and so it was a lot of fun to kind of revisit that and stuff. So I kind of went down a Dream Theater rabbit hole yesterday, and
Did Rich narrate the audiobook too then, or did he have somebody else?
No, it's not an audiobook. It's just the images and words version of the book. It's the book itself is words, and then images. Okay. It's pictures that accompany right along with the narrative of their career. Gotcha. And but Mike Portnoy had him he gave him a bunch of, I think it was 10 or 12 rarities at the time, and put it on a CD, and it came with that deluxe version of the book that I had ordered. So
nice.
It was cool. It was awesome, and like I said, I went down the Dream Theater rabbit hole, and I kind of revisited The Astonishing. And speaking of The Astonishing, our buddy Robert Reams, good to see you, man. Happy New Year. He says, what's up? My wife got me The Astonishing on vinyl for Christmas. Can't wait to listen through again. Oh, wow. I'm sorry, but that's just criminally underrated. I can't wait to do our episodes about that and kind of dig into it, because I really don't think it gets enough love, and it's so many great melodies on there, man.
So I have a Dream Theater story about a acquaintance we both know, my buddy Bob Hurd.
Okay.
So he's kind of hit and miss with Dream Theater, and a lot of it is.
Oh, hold on one second.
Okay.
I'm sorry to cut you off. So first of all, we have one comment, but then I forgot to start the show off properly. So Memphis Bullard says, second time ever catching the show live. Love the content, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in, Memphis. We appreciate it very much. Thanks for the support. And now I'm going to try not to vomit on camera. As promised, I have gorilla farts.
Nice.
It's actually multiple. Since we're moving, my wife has all the glassware packed up and at our new house already, so I didn't have a shot glass, so I had to dump it into this. And oh God!
And to refresh everyone, now what goes in that again?
This is 151 Jägermeister and whiskey. Yeah. So here we go. You can narrate if you want.
Cheers. I'm gonna save my. You're gonna get to see Brian's ghetto cocktails. I'll save that for a little bit later.
Oh God, that's horrible.
I'm getting sick watching you just thinking about you drinking that.
Oh man.
So I'm trying to remember. I think the first time I told you about that, I believe it was in my old band. They had friends who owned a bar in Michigan. We were playing up there, and these guys, there was a bunch of just total redneck guys, blue collar guys. It was like there's snow everywhere. And it was 1 a.m. or whatever. And I don't know, there was maybe 30 people there, and they're like, we got to get some gorilla farts. And I'm like, where do we go get something like that from? So we'd go to the zoo or what?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. They told me what was in them. And I'm like, oh God, I think I somehow did one, and I regretted it for, probably the next 3 days at least. But
yeah, it is singularly unpleasant. Who would come up with that?
I have no idea.
I forget who I was talking to earlier this week. It might have been one of our guest hosts that's jumping on. But they said, why don't you just fake it? Put something else in there. And I was like, you know what? Because I could try to fake that face, but it just wouldn't be as
No.
accurate as actually putting that shit in your mouth and swallowing it, because it is god awful, man. And I will have to sip it for the rest of the night. But oh god, is it going to be bad? I don't know why I ever agreed
hardcore
to.
of a drinker to fake us like that.
Ugh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm a
But I
professional.
wanted to quickly tell the story because our buddy Bob, he's absolutely a massive fan. Scenes from a Memory. He thinks that's one of the greatest albums ever, which obviously it is.
Okay.
He was always kind of hit and miss on the other stuff. He obviously likes most of the images and words and stuff. So he tells me the other night, he's like, I've been putting on a band to try to get myself to go to sleep at night. So I'm thinking, you'll never guess what band. And I'm like, well, he's always listening to like Opeth and stuff. I'm thinking maybe Opeth. So he says Dream Theater. And I said, well, all you got to do is, probably throw on The Astonishing, I mean, there's so much mellow stuff is on there. So he's like, no, I absolutely love Systematic Chaos and Train of Thought. Like, how the hell do you go to sleep to those two albums? He's like, those are my. I'm like, well, I understand why you love Train of Thought. It's like they're heavy, like we call their Pantera album. He's a heavy guy, but he loves all that stuff. But yeah, he's absolutely in love with those two albums. It's hilarious now. Like, he's like so slowly converting to all this Dream Theater stuff.
That's awesome. Like, yeah, boy, oh boy, I gotta get some shut eye.
Exactly.
So our buddy Sean Faust has jumped on early, and it's funny that you bring up Systematic Chaos because he and I were discussing that the other day. Sean, welcome to the show, man. Good to see you, bud. How you been?
What's happening, brothers? What's going on?
Not too much. Blocking users
right?
in the chat. These like freaking spam bullshit. But yeah, me and you were just talking about Systematic Chaos the other day.
Well, I know the Ministry of Lost Souls is like your favorite track that you've heard live so far.
Yeah, it's like we kind of revisited it, Brian, and like, and Sean, is in agreement that it's a weird record because it's so hit or miss. And
Yeah.
I think it's like I think people are used to thinking of it as this classic great Dream Theater record without realizing that some of the weaker material that you'll find is on that record. It's really strange. It's really, really strange with that one, but I still love it, and I could see why Herd would want to go to sleep to it. I mean, why not? Some people use like rain shower sounds or like water sounds. He's using heavy stuff.
Yeah, I love the video, and we talked about that before. The making of that. What is it like? I think it's close to an hour, maybe even more. Like that. That is like just such a cool, in-depth thing into how they recorded and wrote and their process for that whole album. And it's a great snapshot of that band in that time period, I think.
Yeah. No, I totally agree, and it's awesome to see the stuff in its working form and whatnot. And obviously, I mean, Sean, for people who don't know, I mean, you're a musician, you've been playing forever and stuff, and you've got your own records out, and so kind of seeing that creative process as it unfolds, especially with a band, that's as technically proficient as Dream Theater, is really kind of fascinating. It's like because Sean, you and I were talking about the Falling Into Infinity demos, right?
Yeah.
And they've got that stuff where like you can hear the songs in there as they're being worked on, like Hell's Kitchen, when they're trying to work up the runs and stuff like that. And it's just fascinating. And well, here, Memphis Bullard, he's with you guys. My least favorite song on Systematic Chaos is Forsaken. Still a good song though. Yeah, what did you guys call it? The Evanescence song?
Yeah, that's what I called it the other night. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind that tune. Like I'm like, okay, like it's it's cool. So I really don't have a problem with it per se. So I don't know, but
So what's your favorite album, Sean?
Gotta go with Infinity also.
Oh really? Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
I was hoping you'd ask that question, Brian.
Nice.
And I also have to say Distance Over Time. Not Distance Over Time, I'm sorry. Dramatic Turn of Events.
Yes.
That's an excellent choice for you, sir. It's somewhere in my top 10. I don't know if I'd put it in my top 1 because Infinity's there.
Yeah.
But you got some solid stuff on that, and you've got some all right stuff on that. There's not a bad track on it, though.
Yeah, I think we've been over what is a bad track. And it's not on that record. See, I mean, we can get into that if you want, like, because I mean, we're gonna deep dive the record at some point. That one,
It's funny because Bob actually mentioned he really likes that one too. I forgot. And I was like, man, I mean, I think in my mind, there's a case to be made. I think it's probably going to be my favorite album, but I think it's a top three. I don't know. I just love the epicness of the songs in there. And they're still really melodic. Like, I think it's the one album where song to song really captures the melody almost every single time, other than probably Images and Words. But I think the melodies are super strong. The hooks are huge, and there's still plenty of prog elements, and they're still all just these epic big songs. So that's why I have such a high regard for Dramatic Turn of Events.
I don't dislike the record, but it's difficult for me to get into. To me, it's kind of strange. It's like this is gonna be like the worst example on a show like this. So follow me here before I get absolutely crucified for bringing this band up as a comparison. But the Def Leppard record they put out after Steve Clark passed away, like the first one was Adrenalize, I think it was called, the one after Hysteria.
Yes.
That record to me felt like one of the guys wasn't in the mix. Like you could almost hear like the fact that Steve Clark wasn't a part of this, and it seemed like it still sounded like Def Leppard, but it was like that little teeny element missing. And I think for me on Dramatic Turn, I kind of get that vibe without having a Portnoy influence to it. So I'm not comparing Dream Theater to Def Leppard, but that's the kind of vibe that I got. I think that's what's difficult for me is it was a newer sound. Because
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I would say that with Dramatic Turn of Events, comparing it to Def Leppard, I think Dream Theater added an arm to their drummer instead of removing a guitar player from their band. I know that sounds dark and creepy, and I didn't mean it to sound all messed up like it.
Great way of putting it.
That's funny. Yeah, I agree with that. It's not in the technical proficiency. I just think that the different, and it's taken me a lot of time to figure out what the difference is to my ear, what the difference is between Mangini and Portnoy. And I think for me, like I people have said that, like, Mangini's more of a tech monster, but Portnoy has a little bit of that rock feel to him in parts, and I think that might be what it is for me. Especially considering basically it's really Dramatic Turn is basically a John Petrucci and Jordan Rudess solo record, pretty much. So I don't know. I mean, Brian, that is your number one, right? Is it that or Images?
It's weird because we talked about this before. Like, at some point when you suffer like sort of fatigue and burnout on these albums, even though as much it's like your kids. I don't have any kids, and you don't either. But as much as you love your kids or whatever, people that have kids. It's like you kind of get burned out on certain things. So I'm like, am I fooling myself into putting that above Images and Words? But I think there's just, there's been those videos and those things online where people compare them song by song and how they're like the same album or whatever.
Yeah.
The same structure. And I understand what they're saying. And maybe that's why I like it so much. I don't think they're remotely the same album or whatever, but I do understand kind of the concept. I get what you're saying about Adrenalize. I think that is a good example of two things that totally sound different. But to me, the Dream Theater really doesn't sound different. But I understand. Okay. I understand the analogy.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned, like, it's just to my ear. Memphis Bullard, he says, Bridges in the Sky and Breaking All Illusions are probably some of their best songs ever. Also, Outcry and On the Backs of Angels rule. I would agree completely with Breaking All Illusions. I mean, Brian and I obviously have fawned all over that song on the show several times. On the Backs of Angels is a little disappointing for me. That is, I don't remember my exact ranking of the opening songs, but I think that one was pretty far down.
Yeah, that one to me felt like a super safe intro to Mangini. You know what I mean? Like it was. Yeah, there was nothing really a whole lot going on in that was different. I just thought it was safe.
Yeah, I mean, Sean, where do you stand on Breaking All Illusions? Since Brian and I are
Breaking All Illusions is a top 5 Dream Theater track for me, man, 100%. And it's when you mentioned before about like the comparisons to Images and Words for that album. it kind of, I mean, if you break it down by the structure, I haven't watched any of these videos that you mentioned, but there's something about the structures of the songs, and then you've got, what's the song before Breaking All Illusions? I always forget the name. It's got the same melodies that are also in Breaking All Illusions, kind of like Wait for Sleep and Learning to Live. There's stuff like that.
Okay.
So it's more like a good comfort food, where yeah. So I've listened to Images and Words a zillion times. I want something new and different, but kind of feels comfortable and safe for me, and that's Dramatic Turn of Events.
Okay.
To an extent, I'm not going to say all the way through. Sorry to interrupt.
What about Backs of Angels? What do you think of that one?
It's got. I mean, the arrangement in itself is Pull Me Under, but it's still a great song.
Great. See that's what I kind of feel too.
Well, we have another of our guest hosts jumping on here. So, Sean, real quick, dump out and come back in because your video's lagging. It sounds great, but your video's like a couple seconds behind, so it looks like you're like doing a Korean B movie.
All right. Well, that's me. I don't know how to dump out, so you can dump me out.
All right, I will take you out here.
Thanks.
And then, all right. And then if you just want to like reboot or something. All right, and we're going to get Sean back, so he's coming back. But coming out to the show now, we have our good friend Everett Painter. What's up, man? Good to see you.
Hey guys, good to see you.
How much rest have you had? How's the baby doing?
Not much. I actually took a nap. I actually took a nap earlier.
I did the same thing.
Function tonight.
Yeah, that's Everett just had his fourth kid, everyone. So he's running on empty. So thanks for making time to come on, dude. It's good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you. And Brian, I heard you mention Ohio State at the top. I'm supporting my Vols tonight. They're about to take the field in the Orange Bowl. So
there you go.
Who are they playing?
Clemson.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll root for you all day long. I can't stand Clemson.
I'm with you.
That's literally orange and orange and orange.
Yeah.
All right. So right off the bat, Everett, we've got a hot take that we need to bring up here.
Oh boy.
Sean is back. Let's see. All right, we got you, Sean.
What's going on? Oh, I think I'm lagging again.
Yeah. Oh, well, we'll just leave
it.
All right.
Your audio's there.
Yeah, audio's there. Who cares? All right, so we got a hot take right off the bat for you and Everett to debate with us. So Memphis Bullard says, I would argue that On the Backs of Angels is a little bit better than Pull Me Under. Still love both of them very, very much. All right, so this is a good – I am not understanding all the backlash we get on this show for Pull Me Under. Like, I get it. Like, for example, I'm a Van Halen fan, so I understand, like, if I have to hear You Really Got Me or Running with the Devil one more time, I'm going to throw up, you know? But I still love them, and I won't say, I may be burned out listening to them, but they're phenomenal. But we've had a lot of people on our show say that they don't like Pull Me Under. I
don't know, man. I mean, for me, Pull Me Under was the first thing I heard. I think that's probably a story that's common for a lot of us. So the nostalgia factor is there for me. I mean, I love Pull Me Under. I could never get tired of that song. On the Backs of Angels, for me, I mean, I'm honestly not a huge fan of it. I think it's more technical, but it seemed like that run of albums right there, they had like this new, I don't know, it was almost like a certain blueprint that I think that song falls into. And for me, it's just not the best that's on that album, really. I don't know, but I could never put it above Pull Me Under for nostalgia alone.
Yeah. And a lot of people, like, I mean, they just say that they think it's not a very good song. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, that song kicks ass.
Yeah.
I agree. I do not understand it. So what about you, Sean? Where do you stand on that comment?
I mean, I was in a Dream Theater tribute 20 years ago, so I've heard Pull Me Under so many times. And then any band in this area that's like, oh, hey, we covered Dream Theater. No, you don't. You cover Pull Me Under. You can't say you cover Dream Theater. So
Right.
I've heard Pull Me Under ad nauseum to the point where I don't need to hear it, but I'm not going to say it's a bad song. That's ridiculous. That's crazy to say it's a bad song. Is On the Backs of Angels better? The song structure is the same, but melodically it's totally different. It's also comparing like a really, really hungry band. If you've listened to those Images and Words demos, you can just hear how like hungry and energetic they are. Where you get to On the Backs of Angels, they know what they're doing. And they know, like Everett kind of mentioned before, like those albums, those 5 albums, I guess, or 4 albums with Mangini, the first ones, they kind of have blueprint. It's almost like they're on autopilot. And I'm not saying that in a negative way, but there's just something like, this is the sound, this is what they're doing, where Pull Me Under is just a bunch of hungry kids, just like they finally got out of this bad contract and they're getting into a better contract.
Yeah.
And you can hear the hunger in it. So for me, I don't need to hear it again. It's a bathroom breaker. If it's an encore, it means I'm beating traffic. And I mean, no disrespect to the band saying that. It's just I'm good with it.
And I completely agree with that. I mean, the first few albums, there was something in that just put them on another level. And for me, I mean, during that run of albums, you know, like you just mentioned, some of that just it was almost like, okay, we know what we're doing. It's something was just seemed to be missing there. And I think, John, I heard you talking about the Astonishing. For me, the Astonishing was so different. I mean, I appreciate the fact that they took, you know, a leap with that. They took a big risk with that. And I know it turned a lot of people off, but I thought that was really cool that they were, you know, taking that risk. But then for me, it seemed like with Distance Over Time, and then also with the most recent album, it seemed like to me that extra something was back. I can't describe it. It was just something else there that just took them to the next level. And for me, like I said, I feel like the last couple albums, especially, that seems to be back in the mix to a certain extent.
That's a good point, because that's actually something I was going to bring up tonight for you guys. So I'm glad you kind of went there. Thanks for the segue. Yeah, I mean, I kind of think it was back on the Astonishing for me, because, you know, the first two Mangini records are, you know, they're difficult listens for me. You know, I still like them because it's a Dream Theater record. You know, it's Dream Theater's like pizza. But I think when I first started getting comfortable with the Mangini era was with the Astonishing, and I completely agree with you, especially like on Distance Over Time, which for me might be a top 3 record. I think on that one you can really hear it, and then it progresses into View from the Top of the World. So Brian and Sean, where do you guys stand on that? Because I completely agree with Everett on that. I think, you know, they've gotten into a groove now, and I think they're really kind of firing on all cylinders with this second iteration of the band.
Well, what I think is kind of interesting is, by my take, my actual favorite songs are on the last Mangini album, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Silver Clouds and Dramatic Turn of Events. So the last Portnoy album and the first Mangini album, which, you know, and those are like kind of probably among Dream Theater fans in the bottom 3, I would think, almost, right? Like, people like the songs off of Silver. We talked before when we did the deep dive. Like, we like the songs on there, but like sort of the album as a whole is a little kind of weird, clunky. I guess, the production is a little goofy. And it's there's only 7 songs on it, I think, total.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But it's always that weird thing of like, my favorite songs are on these 2 albums that like nobody else, as far as albums go, you know, they're kind of like way down the list.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I want to backtrack on something. So are we saying that Pull Me Under is it closer to their Poison Talk Dirty to Me, or to their Def Leppard, or some Sugar on Me, or
wow,
to their Faster Pussycat House of Pain? Now, which one would it be?
It's their Runaway. It's totally their Runaway.
Runaway. Okay, you are dead right on that. That's the Bon Jovi Runaway. I buy that.
Oh my god, that is too funny. Comparing Pull Me Under to Talk Dirty to Me. If anybody's tuning into the show for the first time, they hear that, like, I'm never listening to the show again. Those assholes don't know anything about Dream Theater. It's hilarious.
Well, I just thought the whole, like, you know, it's the last song, and it's like, okay, we don't need to hear this. You know, it's like Journey. You know, if you do go see Journey, if anyone's seen them in the last 20 years or whatever, since they got the other guy, or even when they had Jeff doing that tour, it's like, all right, don't stop believing. Let's get out of here. You know, we don't need to do that.
Yeah. My wife and I do that when we go to see Slash, and when they pull out Paradise City, he always will close with that, and Steph's like, we're out of here. I'm sick of this song. I was like, okay, beat the traffic, man. Like, I love the song, but okay, I can get on board with that. What do you think, Sean? Like, what do you think about, you know, the band, you know, the kind of run that they're on with these last 2, you know, and for me, 3 records?
Oh, Everett nailed it, where that magic has come back since Distance Over Time. I hope the next album has that same magic, that they keep playing kick the can with that, because it's been awesome. I don't know if you guys have seen Petrucci just recently said that they're going back on tour and they're changing up the set list.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Which-
hopefully they keep Tuscany, or I hope they open with your favorite tune. What was the one I said the other night that they should open with for you, John?
Up yours, Sean.
Repentance.
Oh, I love you, man.
He said they should open with the Ministry of Lost Souls.
No, it wasn't Ministry. It was oh god, Illumination Theory.
Oh,
All
yeah.
three,
Man, that song, like, I know
That
I'm in the minority on
That'd be a
that one,
good
but
opener.
that'll be the next set list. It'll only be the epics. It'll be like 4 songs, and it'll be like like Change of Seasons, like Count of Tuscany, Illumination Theory, and Octavarium. Okay, we're Dream Theater. See you later. And then they're gonna come out, and the encore is gonna be vacant, and then they're gonna leave the stage.
I'm interested to see what they are going to put into this because obviously they're probably not going to take out any of the stuff from the newest album. So what I'm wondering, like, what are they going to do?
Maybe they'll swap out some of the songs from the new record.
You
You know,
think?
maybe. Well, that would seem to make sense. I mean, the record was very well received, so I mean, they would probably take a few songs out and put some other stuff in. This is a reminder, by the way, Brian, when that does happen, to not give me any goddamn set list spoilers. I don't need that crap.
I'll do it for
Actually,
him.
I didn't say anything. I don't think. Sorry, go ahead, John.
Oh, I was just saying I would do it for you.
You guys are killing me.
No,
All right, so we got a couple comments here in the chat. So our buddy Robert Reams says, since we have a hot take, I'll add mine that I've mentioned before. Breaking All Illusions is wildly overrated. It just has never grown on me like others have. I love you, Robert. We had pizza together at Pizza 216 over here in Cleveland before the Petrucci show and had a blast. But if you want to know something that's wildly overrated, is your opinion on that song. I completely you and I have talked about that, Robert, but I'm sure we're all in agreement on that one. I mean, Breaking All Illusions, like you said, is top 5 Dream Theater track, to a lot of people. I love it. It's basically a perfect song, I think.
Yeah, that's a tough one to call overrated in my book, but hey,
Yeah.
whatever.
Is there a song that we could consider that's overrated? Do you guys have a song that is kind of like a fan favorite that you kind of think is overrated? It's
Well,
so hard to
what
think.
you know what mine is.
Which go ahead, start it off then.
Well, you don't even have to say it, do you?
I know, because I don't remember now. Every time you say you hate something, I think you're going back to Space Time Vest.
Yeah, I mean that's a fan favorite.
Do you really think that's a fan
Dude,
favorite?
It's a fan favorite. When they started,
is.
when they busted that out, people were losing their shit, man.
Okay.
They were losing their mind.
All right. What about you, Everett and Sean? Do you think
Well,
there's like a
Yeah, I think one I hear people talk about quite a bit is As I Am. And for me, it just doesn't do a whole lot.
Oh, that's not a bad choice.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, it's really technical. It's heavy, but for me, it's just another one of those. It's, I don't know. It just doesn't have the stuff, for me, like, some of the other material. So I hear that one talked about a lot, especially with newer fans. You hear people talk about that one. And I know for several runs there that was in the set list. But for me, that, I don't know, it just doesn't do a whole lot.
Okay. I was kind of leaning in that direction. It's difficult for me because I can't. I think that the stuff that I would say, okay, if I don't hear this live, I'm fine. I think that's different for me than it being overrated. I mean, Sean, do you have anything you consider this like be a fan favorite to be like overrated or anything, or?
No, there's nothing I can really think of. I mean, there's an epic that's not coming to mind at the moment that I'm kind of like, it's good, but there's better epics.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would put Illumination Theory in that spot for me then, because everybody seems to love that song, and it has never grabbed me, and it's the one tune that I'm just, at least of the epics, but I'm definitely on the losing end of that battle where the fan base is concerned. Memphis Bullard, by the way, he talking about the set list. He said Petrucci said they'd be playing some stuff live they've never done before. I assume maybe S2N or Viper King. Viper King kicks ass. I'm sorry, I'll die on that hill. I love that riff, that like deep purplish kind of, Oh my God. All right. I got 2 comments and another hot take. People are jumping in here. I love this. All right. So Adrian Schaller, good to see you, man. He says, hey guys, happy New Year's. Same to you. He says, I've recently gotten back into 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence, the full album. I love when I haven't listened to a full album for a while. Then when I do, it's like a full flashback to the time when it originally came out. I agree with you. And it's funny you mentioned that record because, you know, I'm in the middle of a move right now. And I found a pack of pictures that have been packed away. There's a lot of P's in one sentence there. And it was pictures I took at my first out-of-town Dream Theater show, which was for 6 Degrees in Chicago at the Vic Theater. And I was like, oh my God, I forgot I took these. So it's like, you know, Petrucci with short hair and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And it was like, and James's voice, I think that was the tour when he was really at his peak. So it's funny you bring that record up because I just went back to that one too. That one I kind of revisit a lot. I mean, so do you guys have a record that when you're like, I'm going to listen to some Dream Theater, you just find yourself kind of naturally gravitating towards it? For me, Distance Over Time is one. Awake is another.
Yeah.
So those are probably the 2 that I would probably say that I kind of go to the most.
I think for me, probably my top 2 would be Images and Awake, and that's just, you know, again, that's where I discovered them.
Yeah.
Images, you know, of course, we were talking about Pull Me Under later. I saw that on Headbangers Ball. That was my first introduction. I'm like, man, who is this?
Right.
You know, it's so cool. And then it was my 3rd year in college. I had transferred to a different school, and I went into this tiny record store on the corner, you know, really right next to the university, and I saw it. I saw the album for the first time, and of course, you know, I picked it up, and you know, they've been my favorite since then. So Awake was the first one that came out that I really anticipated because I had gotten into the band at that point. So I mean, those 2 for me are the big 2, and they always will be. In terms of taking back, though, you know, when you were talking about that, what immediately came to mind for me was Falling Into Infinity, because I was really into them at that point after those 2. And I remember, you know, being on campus and hearing college radio play Burning My Soul. And I'm like, man, that's really cool. So I actually called and talked to the person at the college radio station, and they actually gave me the CD single. I still have it. But for some reason that record, that just really takes me back. Like, when I hear Falling Into Infinity, I immediately think of that time and just remember stuff. So I mean, that one really takes me back.
Okay. I think if there's a record that kind of takes me back, I'm trying to think what my strongest memory would be of getting a record. It's tough. I would have to say Scenes from a Memory, because that was when I really started to get into them. And our buddy Chris Aiken, who runs the CMS network, he was on a local radio show here in Cleveland called The Metal Show. It was on at 10 p.m. on Sunday nights, excuse me, on 92.3. And when Scenes came out, his co-host Matt, another really, really good friend of mine, he played the entire record on the show. And I was I was staying at my girlfriend's house that night, and I was you know, crashing into bed, and she was asleep, and I'm sitting there listening to this Dream Theater record going, holy crap. So that's a very, very strong memory for me. So Sean, by the way, I got your message. Hope everything's okay, man.
Thanks.
So all right, so here is another hot take, and this one, I'm sorry, Memphis, but I'm afraid you might be about to take a beating, so just bear with us here. Memphis Bullard says, my hottest Dream Theater take is that Sacrificed Sons is on par with Octavarium, if not better. Definitely in my top 5 songs of all time. I really think that might be like, you might be the only person with that opinion, Memphis. I mean, Octavarium is one of those. I mean, that's a fan favorite that I think we can all agree on. It's just a kick-ass song. And Sacrifice Sons is cool, but I mean, it's I like that. I like that song. it was always weird to me that they put Sacrifice Sons out because it was that 9/11 song, but it was years after the fact. It was kind of like, wow, I being a New York band, I thought they would have done something like that earlier. What about you guys?
Yeah.
I think it's hard to compare those two. Like, I think, like we talked before about, you said something about you do a full show of epics. Like I think the epics kind of have to be compared against each other. It's hard to like, even as much as shorter song.
Robert Reams says, "Whoa, no way! That might be worse than my take about breaking all illusions."
I don't know. Let's not go that far, Robert Reams.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, certain people there's things on Octavarian where I'm like, sometimes it's tough for me to go back and listen. Like, I'll get into it and then I'm like, I don't know. There's so many other albums of theirs that I do that I just like. I really appreciate what they did on Octavarian, but I don't know that means that I necessarily love it all that much. Like, I think there's a lot of really cool things, you know what I mean? But I'm just like, there's 16 other albums that have stuff that I know that I really, really love. You know what I mean? It kind of turns into one of those for me personally.
Yeah, it's for me. Octavarium is interesting because when I went back to it, we did our deep dive. I was like, God, I really love this album, and it's not one that I go back to a lot. But when I did, it was really. I was like, God, this has got a lot of good stuff on it. And it's definitely, like I think we talked about, like it's definitely an answer to Train of Thought, because they went the super heavy route and some fans kind of crapped on it because it didn't really have those light moments. And now here comes Octavarium, which is mostly light moments, I would say. And I don't know, like I love it, and especially the song Octavarium. Get ready to take a drink, Sean. Again, as I've said. I think because I saw that song, it's such an excellent version of it at Score. We'll have to talk about that in a second, Sean.
We're all going to be drunk in 5 minutes here.
Did
I tell you I'm in the documentary?
See, yeah, Sean said that he had started making a Talking Into Infinity drinking game based on shit that I repeatedly say, and that was one of them. I was at Score. Like, it's it sucks. I don't mean to do that. If it sounds douchey, then I apologize to everybody who's annoyed by that. But, that song is just so damn good, and it's so interesting, and I just love it. So to say that Sacrifice Sons is, I mean, it's to me definitely not better, and I don't think on par either. All
right, wait a minute. Chastity Crowley, I might be beaten with him. I can't sit through Octavarium.
Yeah, Chastity, she might be with him. I can't sit through Octavarium. She's talking about the song, not the.
Is she kidding?
Hey, dude, she'll be on. We can hash this out live on camera. Chastity, if you want to jump on now, feel free. We can have the Octavarium argument, because Sean is very passionate about Octavarium, and
we'll play the song while you're sitting there, and that'll prove it.
Yeah.
So can you stand the show? 24 minutes.
Oh my God, that's funny. All right, so Adrian Schaller says, my hot take is that John Mayung should write all the lyrics for the next album. Learning to Live and Awaken the Master are two of my favorites. All right, Adrian, I'm going to start this one off, guys. I'm going to say he's half right. Well, okay. I'm going to say he's right. John Mayung has some great lyrics. But of those two songs, I'm going to say he's half right, because Learning to Live is amazing and Awaken the Master is pretty generic to me in a way. And I wouldn't say generic. It's just I think it's, one of those, yay, go climb a mountain and do something cool types of things. So, I mean,
well, they kind of did that theme like 4 times on the new album. That's the problem with it,
I think that's exactly what the issue that I have with it.
Yeah,
is it's pretty common. But I mean, what do you guys think of John Mayung as a lyricist? I mean, I think we can all agree that he's damn good.
Yeah, I think he's probably one of my favorites. But personally, I like that he's that they limit, or that he doesn't contribute as much. For me, it makes it more special when he does. Although I agree with you, John. I think out of all of his lyrics, Awaken the Master is probably my least favorite. But overall, I've always loved his stuff.
Yeah. All right, so let's do this live. Now, adding to the show, our good friend Chastity Crawley.
I'm just going to get dragged.
Well, all right. I should just, where's a bell? Ding, ding, ding.
I'm going to get dragged. I know it. I'm good.
Sean versus Chastity, and I'm in Sean's corner.
No, here's the thing. No, I mean, you're entitled to your opinion, and you're entitled to be completely incorrect. But my question to you is this: are you talking about the album as a whole or the song?
No, just the song. Just the song Octavarium. I
I'm
can't
so
do the 24
sorry.
minutes.
Why? Is it because it's 24 minutes? Is it because it's 6 minutes of Jordan Brutus doing "Shine On You Crazy Diamond"?
References, man.
No, I can sit through 6 Degrees. It's 41 minutes and be totally fine.
Cool.
I just can't get into the song.
What if you skip the intro and you get right to like, where it starts sounding like "turn around every now and then"? It kind of has that vibe to it. If you start from there, maybe you can like some of it.
Yeah, that's a good question.
This is so
Chastity.
weird. It's just looping repeatedly.
Like
The whole podcast is looping, or just Sean?
Uh-huh.
wow.
I hear everything once, and then all the visual shows up, and it says it again.
Oh, well, we're not looping. Oh, well, we're not.
It's all me.
Oh, well, we're not looping. Oh,
Nice,
well,
Brian. Yeah, nice. So,
Are you
yeah.
still watching on YouTube or Facebook Live and it's in the background?
I'm on
possibly?
YouTube.
Mute the YouTube page and it won't happen. I
Look
don't
at
know why I
that.
just called you that live. Now I feel like
Let's.
Hey, that's what the fan hangout's for, dude. We fix technical problems live.
cool.
Okay, I think I fixed it.
There we go.
Are we on
Hey,
a loop?
we're not looping. I'm frozen, but
Are we on
my
a loop?
audio works.
Are we
Yeah.
on a loop?
Yeah.
No.
Sean.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, you look and sound great on our end. So,
They're good.
so Adrian. So again, to Sean's point, maybe like, if you get past the intro, because Adrian Schaller says Octavarium's like having to eat your vegetables first before the meat and dessert.
No.
I have to wait for the musical ear candy. That's fabulous.
So, Chastity, do you enjoy getting Octavarium splained? That's what you're literally getting Octavarium splained.
Oh my
I've
god.
tried so hard. I've tried just sitting down
Full
and like, I'm
dude.
gonna do this 24 minutes, and I just halfway through, I'm like, no, I can't.
That is
So that
hilarious.
would be my one that I would just skip. Like that sounds horrible, but that's like
totally
the one
get
that
it.
I just skip past.
I totally get it because I can see that there's things with that song.
Well, Octavarium.
I will not try to Octavarium explain you anymore.
Oh my god, that's hilarious. I mean, that goes back to our conversation we had a minute ago about fan favorites that we think is overrated. We know your answer. To you would it be Octavarium, or would there be another one that you would say you'd think is even more overrated than that?
I don't know about overrated, but maybe overplayed is Pull Me Under. Not for me. I could just repeat it over and over, but it's
Sure.
one that everyone goes, "Oh, I know that song. Congratulations." So does everybody else.
Yeah. If you don't know Dream Theater, you do know that one. So, all right, now that you're on, we talked about something the other day when we were doing our test call that I wanted to bring to the show because it's a record that I absolutely love. And you were telling me when we were testing the other night that you have really gotten into When Dream and Day Unite.
It's such a good album. I'll listen
Yeah.
to that one over and over again.
Okay, so there's a repeat listen. That's awesome. So did you you said you were going over to your friend's house who has his box of 80s stuff. Did you find When Dream
He
and Day
hasn't
Unite?
found it yet. I haven't gotten up there, but he hasn't found it. But I am 99% sure he's got it because I showed him and he's like, yeah, it's that one. So he's just
That is
going
so
through
cool.
all of his crap from the 80s. I'm like, Tony, I need those tapes. Give me those tapes.
So you had it on cassette then?
Uh-huh.
Nice.
All right, I'm going in for round 2 on the gorilla fart, so get ready for the horrible face. I'm going to put
Lord.
myself in solo. This is, let's see, so the whole world can see this. Let's see, here we go. Gorilla fart number 2.
Aren't you guys glad you all signed on to watch this?
Yes.
Oh, that thing. I hate you, Brian.
No
Oh,
one
I hate
told
you.
you had to drink.
Oh,
Is anyone else drinking? No.
I got soda. That doesn't count, but I got
No.
soda.
Okay.
so we're the alcoholics of the show, the hosts. We're the responsible ones. So yeah, where do you guys stand? I know, Brian, like one of our very first episodes, we did a deep dive into, When Dream and Day Unite, and you kind of changed your opinion on it, having, gone through and listened to it a few times for the show. Everett and Sean, like, where do you guys stand on that record? Because to me, that's a record that there's a certain faction of the Dream Theater fan base that don't really know that record even exists, which is interesting to me.
Well, I mean, I personally enjoy it. I think for me, the way I ultimately got into it was listening to Live at the Marquee with James on vocals.
Okay.
I think for me, that's what really pushed me over, because, I'm not a huge fan of Charlie's vocals, and also that record being their first. I mean, I think some of the production is really lacking compared to some of the other stuff. It just sounds muddy to me. So usually when I go to those tunes, I tend to go to the live stuff that has James on it.
Mm-hmm.
So did you hear Images and Words before you heard anything off of Dreamin' Day then?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yep.
Where do you stand on that record, Sean?
When I was younger, my brother was into that album a lot. And I couldn't stand it because at the time I was like all about Guns N' Roses and Metallica and Queen and all that stuff.
Sure.
And I would be like, Dream Theater? What's a Dream Theater? This is freaking stupid. And then a couple of years later, my brother turned me on to Images and Words because he was on the phone with John Petrucci. He's like, listen to this. I'm talking to the guitar player. And I was just like, dude, this is awesome. What band is this? He's like, it's that band you hate. I'm like, oh, wow, I love this band now. And then going back to revisit that stuff, I was like, man, like there's some really good songs on this. There's something about the production I just can't get past, but I still love that album.
Yeah, Terry Date talked about it in the Lifting Shadows book that, I mean, they really did the best they could with the time constraints, because it was like you weren't just recording a 4-piece or a 5-piece rock band where it's like, here's, a couple rhythm guitars, a vocal. It's like there's all this instrumentation and soundscape to deal with, and it was just, the production doesn't bother me as much as it does some other people, I think. Like, I mean, Chastity, where do you stand on the production? I mean, it's obviously, not the best, but it doesn't bother me as much as it seems to bother a lot of other fans.
I think, like, I understand where you're coming from. I don't even know who was talking about the muddy. I get, like, that it's not as, like, clear and crisp as, View from on Top of the World or Images and Words. But it's the 80s, guys. Nothing was as crisp in the 80s. But I just like that it's such a different sound, and it is your very stereotypical 80s sound. But I think if they did a song from that now, it would just freak people out.
I keep hoping they go back to it. I would love to hear something brought back from that record. I just
do Status Seeker over and over again, because that is the funniest one to me.
Yes, I think that's my guilty pleasure song. If I could ever hear live, do Status Seeker.
Yes,
like we're just sitting there and it would be my luck that they're like, all right, we're gonna play Repentance, god damn it, and then I'll like they go into Status Seeker. Like, okay,
so
I'll take it.
It's weird just seeing, and I think if Sean said like, oh, that's the same band, like this is good now. Like, it's weird seeing that album cover and seeing the name Dream Theater on there. Like, I can't put the two and two, because that's not the band that we all know now. And I don't think there's that many bands, we talked before, that you can say that about. Like, of course, bands grow from their first album, but like from what they did from 1 to 2, and John and I have talked about this ad nauseum, it's like, I mean,
yeah,
most bands just don't take that kind of a leap musically, lyrically, sonically, songwriting wise. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so it's like I see that and I go, wait. It just looks weird seeing the label on there, even like just the word Dream Theater on there. I don't know. It's just something about it is just still strange to me.
I would say that Pantera had a more drastic change in sound after their second or third album.
Are you talking Cowboys to Vulgar or Vulgar?
I'm talking like everything before Cowboys.
Oh, okay.
3 albums, like the 2 albums with what's his face from
Terry Glaze, yeah.
Thank you, Terry Glaze.
Yeah, but I think in that sense, no, like Pantera has never once played a single one of those songs live, right? Have they? Not to my knowledge.
I wouldn't hope so.
Yeah,
no,
so I mean, it's still a little bit different. That's almost like a whole new. But I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, you're 100% correct, Sean. I just think because it's not, you're talking about like unsigned stuff that like fans have to dig to find, as opposed to like their whole career that you know. I think that one's a little bit different, I would say.
Fair enough.
But yeah, Brian, I mean, like we talked about it. Like, yeah, the musical jump is unbelievable, and I wonder if even those guys are so sick of those songs. You know, at least you know, like the three original remaining members, because they sat with just the music for that record for like, what was it, like 2 years before they finally landed on James and were able to get a deal and get into the studio and record them. So it's like, not only did they have to just sit there playing those songs ad nauseum instrumentally, but then all of a sudden it becomes like their biggest record. Now they got to play them live all the time too. Like, I really wonder if these bands get absolutely sick and tired of that crap. Like, it'd be an interesting question to ask them, I think. So, but yeah, so I mean, Chastity, do you own a copy of When Dream and Day Unite yet?
No, I'm waiting to get it from. It's my best friend's dad. I'm waiting to get it from his quote wall of 80s shit. So.
Yeah, I think we were talking the other day. I've got like 3 different versions of that, and I got the remastered vinyl. I got an original CD copy I found on eBay, and then I've got the remastered CD of it. So I just think that's such an underrated record, man. Like, it surprises me how many fans I've talked to that are like, they had a record before Images and Words. I'm like, oh yeah, dude.
There's a great comment on their Memphis Bullard. So this mirrors my thoughts. So it's crazy to think they were able to go straight from Status Seeker or Light Fuse to Learning to Live or Metropolis. And that's what I said all along, like, especially like Light Fuse. Like, I don't know what in the hell is going on that. But then by the time we get to the end of the album, it's like, oh, this is where we're going to end up heading.
Yeah, I think you phrased it perfectly when we talked about the record, though. It's like the way that you can hear what's coming. You know what I mean? It's almost like, When Dream and Day Unite would be like the demo versions of Images and Words. It's like, okay, here's what we started with and here's what we end with. It's kind of like that, I think. Our buddy Rock and Roll Podcast. Good to see you, man. He says, Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you as well. So thanks for tuning in. Yeah, I just think that, When Dream and Day Unite is just one of their most underrated things that they've ever done, and I would love to hear more of that stuff live, but obviously it's not going to happen. Since we do have a U.S. leg coming up, obviously I know we'll probably see you there if they get a date near Cleveland. Is there a song for each of you that if you're going to if Dream Theater comes to you and says, all right, you get to pick one song in our set list, what are you putting in there? I'll start with you, Brian. What if you could have one song in the set list, anything? What would you have?
Come back to me because I got to think about this. I can't use all my standards.
Riveting radio. Okay. Okay. Chastity. If you could have one Dream Theater song played live, what would it be?
Wither, but John Petrucci has to sing it, not James.
Wow. Holy crap. That is not one that I would have thought you'd pull out.
I like it better when he sings it. That sounds horrible, but he wrote it. It sounds better when he does it.
So what is it about the vocal that you like better? Is it just like because it's a little more honest because it is his lyric, or?
I think if you listen to it along with the music video that they made, it fits it a lot better than it does when James sings it.
Okay. All right. I'll give you that. Sean, what about you?
Can you come back to me too? I'm still putting some thought into this. Sorry.
Nice.
You have to have notes, guys. I made notes for these questions.
Show prep. What is show prep? We don't do that on this show.
I got one that says my name, but I think I spelled my name wrong. So Brain. That spells green, right?
Oh my God, that's awesome.
All right, since you skip me, or I'm gonna say I'll go for the new album, Transcending Time. Really, I love that song.
We already got that one, didn't we?
No, well, they didn't play it. They did not play it.
And true, it doesn't matter if they played it or not. That's not one of the criteria. Yeah. So, okay, Transcending Time. Okay. Everett, what about you?
I think it would be S2N, and I know that was already mentioned in the chat, but I love that song off that album. I'd really like to see that one live.
Yeah, that's a good choice.
So that comes to mind right away.
when we did that little trivia contest thing, what was the answer? Wasn't there? Was there 2 or 3 songs they had never played live? Do you guys remember what that was?
There was I think it was 4 of them.
4?
And S2N was one. Obviously,
Yeah.
Viper King was another.
Viper King was on there. You're putting me on the spot, man.
Repentance.
I can't remember. Viper King obviously was on there.
Yeah. Something off Falling into Infinity.
You know what's funny is back on my music shelf that I used to have up my man cave, but I packed everything up. I actually still have my answer sheet.
Oh.
Like, because I've got the little winning ticket with the vinyl album cover. I'm like, this is pretty cool. I'm gonna keep this, and I taped it to the vinyl, and and so I have the answers, but it's packed up at the house. Yeah. So there's a couple good suggestions that are man. Memphis Bullard, The Best of Times. That's correct. That is one of them. The Best of Times is the only Portnoy era song they've never played. God, I wish I had that answer sheet. That actually might have been. I got 16 out of 17 points, and I think this was the one where I missed a point because I think I think they did do Repentance once or something, and
They did.
Yeah.
and I messed that up. So Robert Reams, his choice would be The Glass Prison. Can never ever go wrong with The Glass Prison. Adrian Schaller says The Great Debate. That might be my choice. If I was to just hear one, it's I would say The Great Debate or Trial of Tears, just because Trial of Tears I think is not played enough.
I'm going to change mine to Great Debate too. I knew I was blanking on something.
Yeah. So,
but honestly, if I could hear any song that I've never heard them play live before, and they brought it out here a few years ago, it'd be Space Divest.
Oh,
it's actually one of my favorite Dream Theater songs. That'd be in my top 10. That'd probably be unpopular because a lot of people don't even consider that. They consider it a Kevin Moore song, but I love that song. Never seen it live.
Brian's hiding his face.
Yeah.
All right. Well, look, the birth of the gorilla fart. Here goes sip number 3. That's where that came from. Brian called that song a gorilla fart on the show, and I thought he was really talking about it like a gorilla farting. It's like, no, it's a drink. And I said, oh, I should make that and like drink it at the Fan Hangout.
The thing is I don't mind the little keyboard riff and stuff. I think is cool. I still think it's just lyrically the dumbest idea I've ever heard in my entire life.
God, that's horrible. I see. I don't. All right, Everett, we got your take on Space Divest. Sean and Chastity, where do you guys stand on that song? Because Brian and I argue about it like crazy.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was waiting for you. I love it. That was one of my favorite Dream Theater songs. And I know where Brian's coming from with that entire album as far as the keyboard sounds, but that's the best that they had to go with in 1994 for their budget. And just songwriting wise and melodically, it's on par with Image's Words for me. And that, it's such a great way to close the album. And I'm one of the schmucks that had the cassette, so I didn't have Scarred for the longest time.
No.
So it was like Innocence Faded was after Lifting Shadows, and then it was Space Divest, and something about that flow just worked perfectly. So I've just that's just how I feel about that from like that era.
Okay,
Yeah.
Chastity, Space Divest.
The first time I heard it, I was like, what is the point of this song? And then you guys were talking about it, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to give it another chance. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to actually focus on what they're trying to say or not trying to say. And I actually like it. I'm not like, I'll actually sing along with the words that are sometimes there. But no, I like it now.
I just, it's got that weirdness to it.
Why is weird
Man,
bad though?
That's what I think. You know what? Let's just. You know what?
Again.
Yeah, we don't need to hear from Brian on this anymore. We're just talking about the show. Sorry, Brian, I couldn't help it. Anyway,
I don't mind the weirdness. I'm just long on record as saying lyrically, it's the most ridiculous, stupid idea I've ever heard in my life. Like, there's some girl in a magazine, and I'm scared that if I make love to her or get to date her, it's not going to be as good as the image I have in my mind of this picture in this mag. It's just a dumb. It's like a dumb 80s like cock rock kind of concept to me.
well,
absurd.
see, and this is where I'm going to disagree with you on that. Like, it's not a typical love song idea. Like you can have a song about love, and it's just a common thing that people.
No, it's worse.
Like this is like an interesting, like take on that in a way. It's. And to me, the lyric, like I agree with you, it's kind of creepy. Like he's like staring at this image on a page, and like, but the music kind of mirrors that. And I'm always a big fan of things that like when a visual matches the music or the lyric matches the vibe of the music. Like, I don't know if I've talked about it on this show, but I'm an enormous fan of the Wolfgang Van Halen record, Mammoth WVH, and that video for the song Distance, like that matches the feel of that song so much. And I don't think my enjoyment of that song would be as much as it is if it wasn't for that video. And so I think with Space Divest, it's the kind of the same thing where it's like the vibe of the music matches, the weirdness of the lyrics, I think. So Adrian Schaller has an interesting point here. Sorry to cut you off there.
Okay.
He says, I hate that they played Space Divest live. That one should have had the mystique of never being played unless Kevin Moore came out for a reunion show. I love the song, but would only want to see it a certain way with the original lineup. And then Robert Reams is on your side, Brian. He says, with Brian on Space Divest, accurate take.
I mean, the irony is I don't think I ever knew what that song was about until you started talking about it, and then I started reading about it, and then I saw an interview about it, and I'm like, oh wow, now it really annoys me. It annoyed me to that level before. Like I was kind of like, okay, it's just kind of a weird song. But then when I started hearing all this stuff, I'm just like, oh God.
See, I mean, to Adrian's point, and then I want to get your opinion. You were going to bring up Everett. To Adrian's point, I mean, I think all of us know by now that like Kevin Moore's never going to do anything with Dream Theater. It's so. I mean, he was asked to do umpteen different things and just turned them all down flat out without consideration. And I like that they did it because Mike Portnoy always said like, yeah, we're never going to play it live. It's his song. If we'd have known he was quitting the band, we wouldn't have ever put it on the record. Like, and then once he left, Petrucci's like, you know what, man, people talk about this song. Let's do this. Like, this is a really interesting fan nugget. So I liked that they did it, and that was on the self-titled tour. And when I was in Chicago and they went into it, I was like, oh my God, because I knew they said they were never going to play that.
Take a drink.
God bless it. You need to write down these rules, man.
Okay.
By the way, speaking of drinking, Brian, why don't you explain what you're making over there? Because I hear your cans cracking.
All right, so this is my world famous Chardon, Northeast Ohio ghetto margarita, I call it. So it's half and half Milwaukee's best ice. If I can't turn the label the right way here. So that's 24-ounce can. Now at the Speedway here, it's marked $1.39, but they actually did charge me $1.49. I didn't say anything. And this is $2.49. So what you do is you mix roughly half and half of this together.
What the other half is Four Loko, right?
Yeah, the other half. Sorry, this is a Four Loko. So this is 12%. So that'll. But my thing is, I can't drink this straight because it's way too sweet. So I got to mix it with something that tastes, I don't know, somewhere on the lines of Open Ass, which is Milwaukee's best ice. So you mix those two together, it comes out looking like this. And it's not much taste-wise, but I tell you what, you still end up almost at $4. Both of those. But like this, literally, this will last me like 2 nights of drinking. Like I'm not even kidding.
So just so you guys know, Brian is notorious for being incredibly frugal. He's excellent with money. So he jokes, but he's very frugal. So that's like,
the thing is, like, okay, I could be one of those people that's like, oh, I'm a snob and I love these $12 beers, but I can get like a way faster buzz, way cheaper, and like I don't have as much liquid floating around inside of me.
All right, so let's go around the round table here with our guest hosts, Sean, Chastity, and Everett. All right, which do you think would be the worst drink? The Gorilla Fart, which is Jägermeister, whiskey, and 151, or Brian's Chardonnay Ohio Margarita, the Milwaukee's best ice mixed with Four Loko? Which is worse, the Gorilla Fart or Brian's Margarita? Sean, you're up.
Gorilla Fart sounds disgusting, man.
That sounds like you're saying, yeah, the other one doesn't sound too bad.
Yeah, but it doesn't sound as bad as a gorilla fart.
Okay. All right, Chastity. Which one?
Can't help you. Don't drink. I have no idea.
It's
Okay.
not, trust me.
Yeah, neither of them are pleasant. All right, Everett. Gorilla
I think
fart or
that-
the margarita?
I think definitely the gorilla. Yeah, I go down.
Definitely destroy your stomach.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
All right, so
I will-
Sean and Everett, what are the two worst things that you'll drink and you go on record? Cheap or nasty wise?
Oh man, that's tough.
Oh,
When I
yeah.
stopped smoking
I don't-
cigarettes, I became a beer snob. So I mean,
Oh, okay.
I
Well,
would have
never mind.
to. Although I don't even drink anymore, so Coors Light's probably the shittiest I would drink.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that's
Everett, you're not a big drinker, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm a huge water drinker. I hardly drink anything besides water here anymore.
I am too.
Yeah.
That's one of that's
Wait,
yeah.
is there a way to rewind?
Right.
Let's get that on record. Sean's a huge water drinker.
Dude, the amount of water that we go through in my house, the bottled water, like the apartment I live in now, we have well water. It's horrible, and it's this sounds so stupid, but I've lived with well water for the last 20 years. You just can't drink the shit. And our house has an incredible pressurization system in it, and the tap water tastes like Aquafina. I side by side them, and I'm so excited. And I've got all these empty bottles full of water in the fridge now, and I'm just like, oh my god, I love it. So one thing I wanted to ask you guys, Chastity, I want to start with you here. So because you had a kind of an interesting story about this. So how did you get into Dream Theater? Because you being a fan is, I think, a lot more recent than the other four of us. Correct me if I'm wrong there.
About 20 years ago, my middle school boyfriend says, "You should listen to this song." It was Pull Me Under, everyone's first song. And we blame him.
So were you hooked like immediately, or like did you immediately like fall down that rabbit hole, or was it kind of like it took you time, or?
I liked it because he liked it, because I was, a middle school aged girl and it's a boy. But after Wait for Sleep, I was like, I can listen to this over and over again.
Okay. All right, so we have another guest host jumping on. This guy's actually kind of a little bit family for me in a way. Our very good friend Robert Husted is on. What's up, man? Good to see you.
Hey, good to see you too.
So I think I've told this on the show before, but Robert is the brother of my best friend Andy's wife Sarah. So Andy and I are really actually basically family. We met in kindergarten. We were 5 years old, so that was 41 years ago. So Robert kind of is. We're extended in-laws in a weird way. So, all right. So since we're on this topic, Robert, how did you discover Dream Theater? Because you're younger than all of us. So
yeah. So
love the shirt. Love the shirt, by the way. Excellent.
Thank
excellent
you.
shirt choice.
Got a rep. So the first song, it was one song that Andy played. So we were driving somewhere. This is gonna be a really descriptive story. And so I forget what song he played, but he's like, "Yeah, this is my favorite band, Dream Theater." And he played a song. I'm like, "Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, whatever." And just went back to like listening to my own music. And then later, when I went like a couple months later, went back to like their house to like it's like for a weekend or something, and just I had my iPod with me. I was like, "Hey, cool if I just download some songs from your laptop onto my computer, or their laptop to my iPod." They're like, "Yeah, go ahead." And so I was like going through. I'm like, "Oh, Dream Theater is what Andy's favorite band." So I'm like, "Oh, let's see what they have." And so the first I consider my first song was "Nightmare to Remember."
That's not a bad first song, man. So that was Black Clouds era. So this is like almost like this is what, 2009.
Mm.
Okay. So do you have a favorite record?
Oh boy. Yes and no. I mean, I don't think I can ever say no to a Dream Theater album.
It's like
But-
pizza, yeah.
Right. But I do lean heavily towards The Astonishing.
Really? I love
Oh, yeah.
it. Oh, no shit. That's awesome.
That's
Oh, that's
honestly-
cool.
When it first came out, like seeing like the trailer they did for everything, I was just so stoked. And then when I actually got to listen to it, I'm like, bro, this is awesome. Too bad I never got to see it live because I think that was like only a one-time thing around Northeast Ohio. I was like,
That
"Oh,
was
darn."
that was a painful tour. And Sean, by the way, Sean, thank you very much for sending us the programs that we mailed out literally worldwide. Appreciate that. Yeah, that was I saw it in Chicago. Brian and I were in Chicago for that, and it packed, sold out. Chicago theater, and then the second leg I saw them in Lakewood High School's auditorium. It was a high school auditorium. It was not even a third full, and it made me so sad. I was like, oh man, like people just didn't, and it was literally just a couple shows before they started actually doing encores of other songs, just to try and get some more people out there. And it's so we talked about it a little earlier in the show, but that record is so good. It's I can't wait to do our episodes for that.
I think that's one of my biggest Dream Theater disappointments is that we don't have a recording of that show, a video recording.
Isn't that the weirdest thing? Like they have a live album for like at least 2/3 of their releases, and of all things to not have a recording of, it's the astonishing. Like they did this like 4K like high def thing for Distance Over Time, and I'm thinking, man, I'm completely with you, Everett. Like they should have done that for the Astonishing, because you could you incorporate like video elements with it and make it almost like a movie mixed with the concert, and it would have been fantastic. I don't know why they didn't do that. It's, oh my God. But so Everett, obviously you work with the Dream Theater USA fan club, and you do a great job with the events that we have around here. Brian and I, been to 2 of them. We obviously was the View from the Top of the World show was when we first met you, and then the John Petrucci show recently. So how did you first get introduced to the band? How did you first become a fan of Dream Theater?
Well, again, I mean, it all goes back to, and I think you hear this a lot. I mean, it was Pull Me Under, and it was on Headbangers Ball on MTV. I just happened to see it one night. I'm like, man, this sounds awesome. And then, I saw it on there several times. And that happened, and I didn't hear anything else. I didn't hear anything else from the band until I saw the record in that shop that day, and I picked up the CD and listened to it for the first time, and that was it for me. Yeah, it was no going back after hearing that.
So it's literally just as soon as you heard it, you're like, "Yep, this is my band."
Yeah, that was it, man. Yeah.
So Sean, how about you?
What was that again? I'm sorry. I just completely zoned out. My apologies.
Come on, Sean. This is a live show.
Sorry about that. I'm sorry. Yes.
No.
Well, so it was well, I'm sorry. Go on.
No, I was actually going to bring one comment up here. Our very good friend Adam Rishog says, "Hey gents, hope you had a great holiday. Sorry I can't be on screen tonight. Work sucks." Adam, great to see you, man, and Happy New Year. Hope everything's good up there in Canada, eh? What's that all about? So good to see you, man. Hopefully we catch up soon. Yeah, I found a mouse in one of your beers. Little strange brew reference there, but yeah. So the question was like, how did you become a Dream Theater fan? Like, how did you first discover? How did you get into the band?
My first song was Metropolis. That's what my brother played for me that one day after I mocked him for years over When Dream and Day Unite. He finally played something that at the time I was like, man, this is awesome. This is great. Thanks. So I think it was like Metropolis, then Wait for Sleep. And then I just started the album from start to finish. So I guess you could say my first song was probably maybe Status Seeker or something.
Yes, Chastity,
that I couldn't get into. Well, nothing is sacred.
Draw the bottom line with a $sign.
And then it gets stuck in your head and it never goes away.
That's a damn good song to get stuck in your head, man.
Agreed.
Is it?
Agreed.
Yes, it's a great
good song.
So is Octavarium, but I don't hear you saying that.
Octavarium is a half an hour of I don't even know what it is.
Oh, I wish I could solo both of you guys. Like, here we go. Let's just we'll have a cage match. Brian, this is our next episode is going to be a cage match. Sean versus Chastity.
Oh my God.
We'll just moderate.
Oh,
Nice.
that's good. Okay.
Yeah.
You
Dude,
have to have notes if we do that, Sean. You have to have notes.
Well, I think that song, like you said, is a half hour long. It's got enough notes. Do I need to add any more?
Well played.
You
Well
need to
played.
have notes. You have to. We'll both study. I'll look at your side. You look at my side. It'll be fine.
Oh, how about we'll just go with like, it's cool that like you have your opinion. I actually respect it. I'm just, for the sake of podcasting, I'm choosing to be confrontational, even though I don't mean it.
I like that idea.
Don't you back down on this, Sean. This is happening.
All right. So, all right, fine. So, Illumination Theory is the best Dream Theater song, followed by Repentance, followed by Shattered Fortress.
And we don't need to hear any more from Sean
Yeah.
tonight. So there.
Fans.
So by the way, Chastity, our good friend Adam Rishog, he is an absolute Octavarium fanboy, and he says she needs to be banned from the chat for that Octavarium comment.
Oh, that's horrible.
I gotta
If out of everything they do, it's one song, only
Well-
one song. I can do everything else. It's just that one I can't.
I'm willing to bet, have you seen it at Score and you were actually there, it would
No.
have so much more meaning to you.
I haven't
Oh my
seen it.
God. Oh my
I
God.
would have
such a-
taken a drink if you'd said it. You'd seen it at Score like John did live, and then I would have.
Oh,
Well,
I hate
oh,
you
John,
guys.
you saw it. You were at Score too. I was there. I was at Score, John.
And much closer to the stage than I was. One thing I want to bring up, by the way, with Robert, it's funny, like, you're talking about how, Andy got you into Dream Theater. Like, has he ever told you, like, about how he got me into Dream Theater? Did he ever tell you that story? Because he's the one person that did it live. Like, I told this, I think, on our very first episode. So if you haven't, any of you, like, guys listening back, go check out the first episode. Brian and I talked about how we got into the band. Brian, I think you said it was like I said, like Images and Words. So it was back in '92. So it was on like your 58th birthday, I think it was. But but anyway, so yeah, Robert. So like I was driving around with Andy, and it was '92, so we were 16, and he was playing Images and Words, and I was. He still makes fun of me to this day because of what an enormous, huge Dream Theater nerd I am now. And I was listening to it. I was like, what the hell is this? He's like, it's this band Dream Theater. I'm like, God damn it. These guys need to pick a style. This is terrible. And then I saw the Pull Me Under video on Headbangers Ball, like, Everett, like you did. And I couldn't remember who the band was. So I went to the library picking out all these tapes. I was getting like Kicks and Trickster because all I remember was like the really long hair. And obviously Kicks and Trickster and nothing like, So a couple years go by, I couldn't find it. I was like, damn it, Well, I go to visit Andy at college his first year at Hiram, and he was just finishing something up, and I was, in the dorm room with him, and he's like, I'm finishing up a paper real quick. Just go, you want to put some music on, just kill some time. So I pull out this CD, and I'm like, what is this Dream Theater thing? I'm like, what is this? Like the cover looked kind of cool. So like, I'll put this in. And Pull Me Under hits. I went, oh my God, this is that band. This is that band that I was looking for. And so I went through I'm listening to it, and he's laughing. And after a few songs, like the first half of the record, I'm like, why do you keep laughing at me? He goes, do you remember that band when we were driving around in the car and you said, this goddamn band needs to pick a style? I said, yeah. He goes, this is that band. It's like, holy crap. So yeah, I completely crapped on him at first, and not knowing that I would absolutely fall in love with him. So Andy is our common Dream Theater thread. So Adam Rishog, by the way, he says, can a true Dream Theater fan not like Octavarium? Not possible. All right, Sean, maybe we're going to sub you out on the cage match. We're going to bring in Adam. We're going to bring in Adam Rishog. It'll be Adam and Chastity.
Yeah, because I'll be nice about it. I mean, at least I'll respect her incorrect opinion. I think I would prefer to listen to Adam just go off on her because, I don't know, you seem nice and you're from Utah, and I've been to the wonderful state of Utah, and I don't want to pick on anybody from Utah. You're just all
But
too
it's
nice.
so easy to pick on us, though.
Well, I mean, I was in Salt Lake City, so yeah, I mean, it really is. So I just don't want to.
Look at Adam. Oh, bring it on, Chastity. LFG.
You can pick on Adam. At least he's on another continent and stuff.
You're such an ass. All right, so I did want to ask.
See, I'm not going to fight him until he spells my name right. It's right there.
Oh, shots fired. That is beautiful. Adam, she's not wrong. Her name's on the screen and you're misspelling it. So like, that's not, oh my God. All right. So Everett, I know you've got just a few minutes here. So, is there any Dream Theater topic you've ever wanted to debate or hash out with a group of fans? I know that you run fan club events, so you get to hang out with fans, a little more than we do. But is there anything Dream Theater wise that you just absolutely love to talk about or want people's opinions on, like anything, or music otherwise, anything? So.
No, gosh, I think when you connected to the fan club, I think for me the coolest thing about those events, honestly, aside from the music, is connecting with other people that are really into the music that we are, because it's so unusual to run into somebody just in our day-to-day lives. And those fan clubs events, I mean, really they're all about connection. I mean, we do them obviously to support the band, but aside from that, it's all about connecting with other fans. So for me, that's probably the coolest thing, aside from any specific topic, is just being able to get with like-minded people and talk about our favorite music. So again, specific topic aside, for me, that's the coolest thing about that stuff.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think and Brian, you would agree. I mean, you were there with me when we met Everett the first time. I think you guys do a great job with the events. It's a very social thing, and especially at the the View from the Top of the World one, you had a trivia contest and little prizes and stuff like that, and it was just like it's cool. And I'm a huge Star Wars nerd. I have a nerd podcast called the Nerf Herder Council. Sean, that one should be on your drinking game whenever I pimp my other podcast out. But my all-time favorite thing about Star Wars is the fan community.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think you guys do an amazing job of making those hangouts like such a good time.
Well, and honestly, that's all, I think Victoria does a great job, running that. The band's supportive, management is supportive. So again, if anybody's on tonight and you're interested in, being part of that, make sure to look up DTUSA on Facebook. That's probably the best way to, get connected with everybody. But yeah, I mean, it's just a great group, and it's awesome to have, the support of the band.
Yeah.
So I remember meeting a few people there, and I can't remember the names other than you guys, because we've sort of kept in touch, but there's 3 or 4 guys I think that had been on a bunch of the Monsters of Rock cruises, and I found that fascinating because I'd never been on one, and I got like the real lowdown, and then getting to know like, okay, well, what bands do you like to see there? And it's kind of like what you're saying, Everett. Like it's interesting getting to know people, because when you go into a Dream Theater concert, that is a very small, unique subset of people into something like that. Right. It's not like the Star Wars thing where literally everyone ever alive has seen at least the original, right, trilogy minimally. Like Dream, and it's just really if you really start to think about it, it's just such a super small percentage. They're obviously probably a bigger band in Europe and stuff than maybe they are here now at this point, but so it is cool saying like, hey, well, I'm here because I love this band for reason X. Like, it'd be interesting to see like, all these other, 2,500 to 3,500 people that are here, what are they into? What are they, what kind of music do they like? What draws them to the band, and I think that's the whole reason John and I wanted to start this podcast, honestly.
Yeah. Well, I will always give you credit where credit's due. You came up with the idea for the show, and I'm very glad that you did, because Everett, like meeting people like you is awesome, because I wouldn't have known about the fan club if Victoria hadn't stumbled across our podcast. And she's like, oh yeah, you got a podcast, and what area are you in? And we told her, and she said, oh, there's this hangout going on before the show, you should go hang out. I was like, hell yeah, we should. So it was really cool. It was like, because we had the show, we got to connect with you and the other fans, like Robert Reams and stuff like that. And it's really cool, man. And again, I think you guys do a great job. And I know Victoria, it's, of all ironies, the head of the DTUSA fan club, her name is Victoria.
Yeah.
So, and she keeps a good eye on everything. She watches and thoughtfully smiles. And, that was, seriously, thank you, Robert. I was like, yeah, good. There's the head shakes. I'm waiting for it. I'm like, damn it. That was, but, yeah. So anyway, Everett, thank you so much for coming on. I know you got to go. Congratulations again on your 4th child last week, and Happy New Year, and hopefully the new year brings you some sleep.
I appreciate that. It's good to see you guys, and Happy New Year to everybody here.
Yep. We'll see you very soon, man. Take care. Appreciate you, brother.
Have a good one, buddy.
Well, there goes Everett. Guys, again, as he said, look up DTUSA on Facebook, and they do events in every single city on the tour. They have a hangout. It's really cool, and you'll see pictures there from all the different tour dates and stuff like that. So it's a really great time. Pre-COVID, they even, like I said, they have the support of the band, and pre-COVID, the little trivia contests they would do, the band would give them backstage passes. So unfortunately, the View from the Top of the World tour was the first time that they weren't able to do that, and of course, that's the one that I won the trivia contest. But yeah, they, the band supported them to the point giving backstage passes away. So, so real quick, since we do talk other music on the show, and we'll just keep it rolling here. Oh, Chastity, looks like your mom's logging off. Reve Bobo. Is Chastity's mom. This is the first time she's ever watched a podcast. She says, "You guys are great. Loved my very first podcast." Well, thank you very much.
Awesome.
Appreciate that. Glad you had a good time. So
I love the picture. I forgot that was her picture. That's my nephew's fireman hat, and he was so excited to make grandma wear it.
That's
Nice.
awesome. All right. So real quick around the table, and we'll just keep it rolling here. So obviously we're all Dream Theater fans. Look, Adam's not letting this go. Adam says, "Does your mom at least like Octavarium?" That's phenomenal.
It'd be a good insult. Your mom hates Octavarium.
Yeah, that's the Dream Theater mom joke. Your mom hates Octavarium. Like, that's awesome.
Oh my word. I'm gonna get texts about that later. Like, why do you hate this weird octopus song? Like,
oh my god, that is so good. Oh my god. All right, so
okay,
Ichi
I'll make you a deal, Adam. I will make you a deal. I will sit down, I will go through it all the way again, and I will email John and be like, okay, this is my final opinion on it. I will give it another chance for Sean, for Adam. I'll do it again.
Don't do it for Adam. He doesn't deserve it.
Don't do it for me either. Do it for you. Do it for yourself, for your ears, for your own
I'm doing
enjoyment.
it because you guys have brought it to my attention that I should give it another chance.
Good for the kids.
Brian, I'm telling you, like, as much as we're joking about this cage match thing, I really think we should get Chastity and Sean and Adam on and actually have an episode where we just debate the song Octave Rate. Robert, if you want to come on, dude.
That doesn't sound as fun as you're making it out to be.
I'm going to collect all of my redheaded Dream Theater fans just to defend me.
There you go.
The Dream Theater Gingers. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So real quick, I always wonder this because obviously, like, I'll start, but we're all Dream Theater fans. If Dream Theater's not your number one band, just right off the top, like, favorite band, or if Dream Theater's your number one, who's your second favorite band? Obviously, for me, my number one is Van Halen, and Dream Theater's a very close number two. So, Sean.
You hate my favorite band. My favorite band is Pink Floyd.
Okay.
Nice.
All right. Robert.
So Dream Theater is my number one band, and
Amazing.
I think of my number two band. I don't know, because I listen to a lot of stuff. I'd have to say Queensryche.
Oh, there you go.
It. Nice. All right. Chastity.
Nightwish.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
But it has to be pre-2005 because I don't like the chick that replaced Tarja.
Tarja era. Okay.
Okay. Adrian Schaller says his is Fate's Warning and Riverside. Okay.
Also, real quick, do you guys give me one album from the last year that came out that you dig? Whoever wants to go first.
John
hasn't listened to anything since the last Van Halen, so that was 2000,
Yeah.
2011. What kind of truth? 2012.
That's another episode we're
You
going to do.
can't
I'm going to
count
tell
the
you what.
Wolfgang. That was 2021.
Well, you got to skip me because I'm trying to remember what,
All right. I think the new Megadeth was really, really good. I was very pleasantly surprised.
My favorite album this year. Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Sean.
My favorite album this year was Marillion's An Hour Before It's Dark.
That's a band we've talked about trying to get into because there's such a huge influence on Dream Theater, and I've never listened to them. So
the new one is really good, Sean. All right, I'm gonna check that out because I've been talking about checking them out. I actually will. John never will. He's like, I'm going to think about checking that out. Maybe, possibly. He never does.
All right, so Chastity, is there an album that came out in the last year that like is on your? See, that's what I'm looking at albums released in
Or
2022.
something you
Like,
just discovered. It doesn't have to be this year.
Does my nephew's album count? Like,
Sure.
hell yeah, it counts.
does the stuff that my nephew puts out, does that count?
Yes, very much.
I've got
so.
one. I've got one of my best friends recently passed away, and he did like EDM, and
Okay.
that's like one of the only other things I have on Spotify is listening to him, like the last mixes that he put out before he passed away.
Oh wow. Okay.
I'll listen to those.
That's
No,
cool.
there's
It's personal
absolutely
then.
nothing wrong with that. Yeah. I mean, hell, on our last episode, I put my own record on the on my desert island list. So,
So,
hey,
Robert, you said Queensryche. What are your thoughts on the new Queensryche? I think it's awesome.
I really liked. Oh, what's the album called? Gosh, I can't think of it right now. It was like newer back in 2019.
oh,
So the third
the
Latore
verdict?
one.
Yeah,
The
the
Verdict,
verdict.
I think.
I think
Okay.
my like getting into the old Queensryche and then listening to the newer stuff.
Yeah.
Dark Reverie, whatever it's called. That one like hit hard for me. I was like, wow, this is like, I don't know, just powerful. So that was one of the newer albums that I've liked, but I didn't get into their new single that they came out with.
Okay. I'm trying to. This is the third one they put out. I don't remember what order they put them out in.
Yeah, the very newest album. I think the whole album is I think I like this one and the first one the best. Is this 3 or 4? I think this is 4 with him.
Yeah, it's 4, because
I think 1 and 4 are the best. 2 and 3 were kind of 2. I wasn't a huge fan of.
okay.
I don't remember the titles of all of them, but
I really feel like I'm missing something. Like I really feel like there
albums
it is.
that came out.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's what it was. Re-wiggled by the Wiggles. That was.
It wasn't my album.
Dude, you know what? If you want to talk about that for a minute and promote that, that'd be fine, because I'll be completely honest. Like, you know how it is. Like when someone's like, "Oh, I'm in a band. I have an album." Like 9 times out of 10, you got to worry that it's not very good, because a local band, your record, Money for the Toll, like, it's really good.
All right,
Like,
how much did you
Yeah.
give him, Sean?
No, I'm telling you,
25.
like, I was really pleasantly surprised.
Coupons,
Yeah.
Kohl's coupons. What was it?
I told him I would not drink every time he mentioned being at school.
That just
Nice.
keeps you sober.
Yeah.
Robert,
It does.
are you drinking tonight, Robert? Are you having beverages of any
I
kind?
am. I'm having good old classic Coke.
Brian, we
And
have
we start
drinking
another
problems.
debate, which is better.
Oh no.
We're going from the Octavarium discussion to
That was a whole marketing thing.
It was there. I had to.
Oh,
That's
that is
fair.
hysterical.
All right, Sean, go back to your album. Can I find it on Spotify?
Yes, you can.
I'm searching right now.
All right.
Sean,
Money for the Toll.
Faust.
Oh, don't look up by my name. Look up the name Money for the Toll.
Money for the
Yeah.
Toll.
Yeah.
You
This
might have
makes
to
a
spell
great
that. Brian
video.
Brian's not too quick on the draw.
Oh,
with
it's
these sorts of things.
$$,
Money for the
asterisk. Yeah.
Toll. TOLE is toll, right?
Correct. Yes. If you don't know how to spell toll.
All right. It says you're an artist. Is that true?
No.
It says you're a album Land Islands.
Land. Yes, Islands is the first song on the album Land.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the
Balance,
one.
absence.
Yeah, these are all feelings that I felt.
Sounds kind of pervy. Fresh young minds.
Dude, you know,
Dude, Brian.
now read the name of the second song. I didn't think of it until recently.
Jesus Christ.
I'm reading the song titles. Butterscotch.
Can't tell you about that story.
Adam Rishog says John is probably 5 gorilla farts deep. No, I have 2, but I took 2 reasonable like hits of it, and now I'm just kind of sipping it to prove that I got through.
All right, so
But, yeah.
Sean, what did you play everything on this album?
No, I did not.
What did you play?
I played keys, very little guitar, and I sang.
Cool. I will check this out.
I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you don't hate the keyboard sounds.
I'll be fine.
It's me that critiques that stuff more than Brian, like, because he, him being a keyboard player, he's got a lot more tolerance for it. It's kind of like me and vocals, like, when I hear singers bashing on on vocalists, it kind of drives me nuts in a way, because unless it's like absolutely god awful, like Vince Neil, like ham hit a dog, wah, like that kind of thing. I just
then that's why they got to get John Corabi back in that band.
Oh God.
Okay, Scott's not happy. Don't tell me how that's one of the greatest albums of all time. Next,
yeah.
I'm with Aiken on that.
Oh, you know what? Real quick, shout out to Aiken. A very, very, very close friend of his passed away today, and he actually is a guy that the music industry knows. Hopefully, I'm not telling tales out of school, but Bob Nalbandian passed away today, and so condolences to Aiken, man. That was a really close friend of his, and sucks right before the new year for that to happen. And thankfully Aiken is kind of cool. He's got his show, the Classic Metal Show, tomorrow night, and he can kind of talk about Bob on there. But all right, so you know what, Robert, I'm gonna say I think if I have a top record of 2022, I'm gonna go with you. I think the new Queensryche record is awesome. That was gonna be my pick. Brian, and your choice of the Megadeth record is a good one. But I really like it, but I'm gonna take the Queensryche record over Megadeth.
We had a couple in the comments there. The new Alter Bridge. I'm finally getting into that. I went through kind of a phase of the last few, where I was like, I like them, but so I'm kind of starting to dig the Pawns and Kings. Yeah, someone put Porcupine Tree, Closure Continuum.
Yep.
That's one of those bands. Have you ever tried to get into them? I've listened to a few things here and there. I kind of got to be in the right mood. That might be a band you're into, Sean. I'm guessing, being a Pink Floyd fan.
Yeah, I dig them a lot. I just recently discovered them in this past year, though, with Arriving Somewhere But Not Here. And I checked out the entire album. But I'm with you, though. You've got to be in the mood for them.
Yeah.
All right. So, Robert, since you just jumped on, we have to ask you the question. If you could have one Dream Theater song on the new set list, what would you pick?
Ooh, that's a hard one.
We had some great choices. I mean, Chastity went with Status Seeker. That's
No, I went with Wither, but John Petrucci.
Oh, that's
has
right.
to
I'm
sing
sorry.
it.
I'm sorry. That's right. Yeah, John Petrucci doing Wither. Yeah. Okay.
Oh boy.
Need the Jeopardy thing in the background.
Yeah, we
Right.
Well, just
This might be a hot take, but repentance. No.
all right. Thanks for being on the show. We'll see you later.
Right. I honestly would love to see them play. Going back to Octavarium live, because it's one of those things where like I can just listen to that on repeat, but just seeing it live would be just amazing.
Poor Chastity.
We're just gonna stick this over the camera and just hide over it. It'll be fine.
We're gonna retitle this the Fan Hangout / Chastity Takes an Octavarium Beating.
I've already said I'm gonna go home. I'll listen to it again.
Adam, give this man a raise. Oh my God, that is absolutely fantastic. Yeah, man, this is fun, man. Before we continue, like Chastity and Everett, who's on Robert, Sean, thank you guys for making time to hang out with us tonight. Like, this is Brian and I, like, not just saying we look forward to this every year, like when we know it's coming up, because it's just awesome to get you guys to be a part of the show. So thanks for making time. I had a question that I was going to ask, and I'm completely drawing a blank. It's probably those goddamn gorilla farts, but like, do you have? How do I phrase this one? Do you have a guilty pleasure Dream Theater? Well, yeah, a guilty pleasure Dream Theater album. Like, I'm going to start with The Astonishing for me, because I think it's something that it doesn't get brought up, but I think another one for me. I'm just gonna say it. Talking into I did it again, Brian. Falling into infinity, and I because Sean, outside of you, I have not heard people talk about that record a lot. So I kind of like the whole. It's kind of like an under the radar type of thing. Like, so I mean, Sean, Robert, Chastity, like, what do you guys have?
I think you need a better circle of friends if I'm the only other person that's ever said that that's their favorite album.
Right.
I don't believe in guilty pleasures because guilty pleasure just means that I give a shit about what somebody else thinks about what I'm listening to in my own private time. So I'm gonna have to just pass, I guess. But I'm gonna go with Transcending Time for the song that I would get to choose because I never answered that question. You just reminded me.
Oh yeah. Okay.
No, it's cool. I'm gonna go with Brian's first answer. But no, I don't really have a guilty pleasure Dream Theater album because they're all. I'm gonna go with Once in a Lifetime. All of a sudden, I just had to think about it. But Once in a Lifetime is fun, but it's not like the best thing ever.
Yeah. That was God, I got that on DVD. I watched that, Robert, going back to Andy, we were watching that the night before his first wedding. I think we were out at his place, me and Matt and him, and we were watching Once in a Lifetime. So all right, that was a stupid question, but I'm trying to think. Like, guilty pleasure doesn't really count. It's not where let's say favorite live album. Do you have a favorite live album by Dream Theater?
Uh,
I know what yours is.
You might not.
It was
Okay.
equally as stupid, but go ahead.
Well, we don't talk enough about the live releases. On
Live
Brian.
scenes. I'm sorry.
No, go for it. Go for it.
Live scenes from New York.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just, I was at that show and the vibe in that room is on that album. It's just so damn good and it's special. I believe I've told you this in private, but now the world can hear our private conversations. It was a very special show, John. It was incredible. And just as far as the live album goes, I love the mix and I just love once again, the energy. We were talking earlier about the hunger of images and words.
Yeah.
Same thing, that energy that's on that Live Scenes from New York album is amazing.
So, Robert, do you have a favorite Dream Theater live record?
I think I'm gonna have to go with Score, honestly.
Okay.
Just hearing that, and then what really blew me for a surprise was just when they started playing this side B of.
Oh, the whole suite. Yeah.
Yeah, the suite. I was like, whoa! And they bust out the orchestra. I'm like, okay, this is awesome. But what's really weird is that they started playing. Was it Vacant? Is that like the?
Yes.
Yeah, that threw me for a turn. I'm like, I understand why they would play that with the orchestra because it sounded very well, but it just kind of threw, in my opinion, like threw off kind of like the momentum because there was like, wasn't it at the end of the suite, and then Vacant, and then into, I forget what else. I was like, that was a little bit of a dead moment, but I mean it's a good song, but it's just like huge thing, small little ballad, and then back to something else.
Yeah, I did wonder like how, like what else would work on Train of Thought with an orchestra? It's like, what are you gonna do? Like,
right.
As I am like do with violins and stuff like that. That by the way, that was
father.
Yeah. Right. With cellos and stuff like that. Oh my god. And by the way, that was the worst violin impersonation ever. As I went over the top with it and like. Good Lord. I look like I'm sawing wood. So, Chastity, do you have a favorite Dream Theater live record?
I have to agree with Sean on this one.
Okay.
I was waiting for someone to say Budokan because that's like, everyone goes, oh, what's your live? Everyone says Budokan, but I have to agree with Sean on New York.
Okay. Yeah. So what about it stands out to you above the others?
This is really, it feels warmer. Like it
more
feels
intimate?
more like, more like homey, more of a comfortable feel.
Okay.
Than just, we're out here, we're live, and we're going to be really, really loud and crazy about it. It's more of like an intimate, like cozier feel of the album.
You know what? I completely agree with that. And Brian, before we get to yours, I would agree with that. Where do you guys stand this? Sean, obviously you were in the room, so you were at the Roseland Ballroom, so you were actually there to experience it. And being at a concert is being filmed, there is a different energy. So you and I have that in common, so we could speak to that. But Chastity, I think you just brought up an incredible point because I would completely agree with that. There's something about the way that was filmed that has an immediacy to it. It's like, it's definitely something that like you do feel closer to it, and we just use the word intimate. I mean, you guys agree with that? Like, and Sean, it's different for you because you were actually in the room, but when you watch the concert, like, do you guys get that feel that Chastity's talking about? Because I really do. I think it's the most personal live release that they've done, at least visually. Where do you stand on that, Robert? What do you think?
Sorry, what was the question again? Sorry.
Has he had the gorilla farts?
Yeah.
Surprisingly not.
No. Yeah.
This makes for great podcasting.
I know, but no. So Chastity said that her favorite live record is why am I drawing a blank on the name? Anyway, the scenes
New
from
York?
memory. Yeah, live scenes from New York. Thank you. And because it feels more intimate, it feels like, and I completely agreed with her because I think she said warmth, and I said it's intimate. There's something in the way that it was filmed. If you feel closer to the band and the story and everything like that. So I mean, what do you think about that?
I'm trying to remember the last time I listened to that album.
Wow, what, really?
Yeah, so
No
I'm not
kidding.
I'm not much into a live album like person. Like, I like this because what's really weird, like going to their latest tour, like listening to some of the songs, I'm like, this is weird because I can like hear the studio version in my head, and so like my brain tries to like match it up with what they do like on stage.
Okay.
But sometimes it doesn't happen, so I'm like, studio. But like there's I do remember listening to that though, and I remember it being, I don't know, different, obviously because it's live, but just still just different.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Don't like live records. You must. So, which means you obviously don't like Van Halen's seminal release, 2015's Live at the Tokyo Dome, which obviously is one of the best live records ever. That was as much as it's my favorite band. That's extreme sarcasm because David Lee Roth is absolute putrid hot garbage on that. But anyway. He's, oh my God, don't get me started. We could get started on David Lee Roth. It's our fan hangout. We talk about whatever we want. Brian, do you have a favorite live Dream Theater album?
I'd say probably the one James did where he did Dream and Day Unite.
Oh, the bootleg.
Yeah.
When Dream and Day reunite. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I'd ever even heard that until you turned me on to it, and because I'm kind of like sort of like what Robert's saying. Like I sort of feel like live albums, unless you have video too, have sort of really lost kind of their luster. Like in the 70s and 80s, it was a cool thing because you didn't have the internet and you couldn't watch 5 million videos of what these guys look like or what the experience was like live. And then when you got something like a Kiss Alive or Kiss Alive 2, even as as fake as we've kind of found out it was, it still felt like you were in the old Richfield Coliseum or something back in 1977, or like Cheap Trick Live at Budokan, those great iconic live albums. But so for me, like when I hear a live album, I want it to be something like a score, or like the Metallica with the orchestra. Just, something that has a twist to it, with adding something else in it. But yeah, I thought that whole idea of Labrie and all of that Charlie stuff, I thought, man, I did not know that existed, and that was really cool. I enjoyed that.
Wow. Okay. That's a very unique take. I think for me, score is such an obvious choice, and I don't know why my voice keeps squeaking. Score is such an obvious choice, but I gotta say, like, something about Live at Budokan has always kind of resonated with me. I think live, it's like kind of like a high point for the band. I saw a number of shows on that tour, so I think I saw them it was either 3 or 4 times on that tour alone. So I think, if I'm not picking score, because that's obviously, low-hanging fruit for me, I would have to go with Budokan. I mean, Adrian Schaller says it in the chat. He said, Live at Budokan, what a great set list and filled with some great moments. The call response, drum keyboard solo, Trial of Tears, Hollow Years, also the instrument medley and the film production as well. Yeah, I mean, it's so well done. And, the special features are great, and I'm a big special features guy, so I like that. There's the set list on that show just felt like one of those set lists that just flows and works so well. And I thought they pulled out some rarities, but still they had like the fan favorite stuff. I just thought it was blended really, really well. So at least there's that one, and I think one honestly that I will agree with the once in a lifetime thing we talked about, because I love the set list on that too. But that again is it's very talking, or god damn it, falling into infinity heavy. It's very falling into infinity heavy. So of course I'm gonna be I'm gonna be into that. So I think I really like that one. Yeah. God. See, now I'm thinking of these damn live records, and I'm trying to think if we missed any. And Brian,
somebody's mic sounds like the beginning of Beneath the Surface. You hear that? It's like water dripping.
Yeah, Sean's got water dripping. He's been wanting to talk about.
I'm sorry about that. That's one of my cat's water thingy-mababa-majiggums. My bad.
Fine. It just reminded me of the beginning of Beneath the Surface.
I just thought it was a fish tank. I was like, y'all need to change your filter.
Brian, I noticed it immediately. I'm like, I'm not going to bring it up on the air. You wait almost 2 hours to go, hey, man, there's a dripping sound.
Well, like, I don't think I heard it until just a few minutes ago. It's just.
Oh, I'm so sorry about that. Is there ever really a right time?
Yes.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Nice.
Oh, my God. Yeah. So speaking of the bootlegs, I mean, obviously I've got some, like, especially now that they're, re-releasing the Yitzhak Jam stuff, like Chastity, Robert, Sean, like even you, Brian, do you guys have any of the actual like licensed bootlegs that they've put out? Like, do you have any of that stuff?
All of them.
Do you have every single one?
I have a bunch from the original releases, like Dark Side, go figure.
Yeah.
And then some of the DVDs too, like Dark Side. I have the Liquid Tension show I was at from BB King's, and a couple of the Falling into Infinity demos, a couple other things like that. But everything that's come out that I didn't have, I'm just pre-ordering them and scooping them up.
Okay. Yeah. So Dark Side of the Moon, did you pick that up at Radio City? Because I know that's where they first put it on sale physically, like before it went online. Like you could get the Dark Side of the Moon stuff at the Score Show.
I had already pre-ordered it at that point. So
okay. So you didn't wait in that line?
Oh, those lines at Radio City, even to go to the bathroom, I missed the beginning of the overture. Did
you really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But I still had a better seat than you, so it's kind of worked out, man.
Well, you had a better seat because you didn't have some guy in front of you just farting relentlessly. Like I've told that story on the air, but man, I was there with my buddy Matt, who he's actually the DJ I mentioned earlier that played Scenes from a Memory in its entirety on the radio up here in Cleveland when it came out. And some guy around us was absolutely ripping ass, and it was horrific to the point where finally, about 40 minutes in, I just hollered. I'm like, God damn it, who's farting? And people around us are like, yeah, what the hell is that? Like, no one wanted to be the guy to say something, but whoever it was just absolutely decimating us. And I was like, dude, you're really ruining this. Oh, yeah, Adrian Schaller, to your point, Sean, that's why I hardly drink a drop at any concert. Yeah. See, Chastity, you are very lucky at Dream Theater shows because your bathroom line is like 4 people. And
I get there insanely early. I get in, they open the doors, I go in, I go to the bathroom, and then I find my seat and I just wait. I don't go, I get it in and I'm done and I just wait. It doesn't matter what concert I'm at. No matter the band, I go to the bathroom, then I sit in my seat and I don't move. I let everyone else fight.
See, but at a Dream Theater show, you're so lucky because at the intermission, your bathroom line is like 3 or 4 people, whereas us, it's like, I don't know, the entire audience is in line.
No, it's really not though. When I went to Top of the World in February, it went down and it was starting to go down like towards the stairwell, and they were like, the security guys like, you can't go down the stairs with the line, and had to turn the women's line.
Wow. Dream Theater, like they're finally reaching a female audience. Who knew?
Hey, I've been one of them for 20 years. Everyone else is just on my bandwagon. It's fine.
So here's another thing, what was the first Dream Theater shows that you guys ever saw? Like mine, obviously I've on record saying many times, it was on the Scenes tour in early 2000. So that was mine. Brian, what was your first time seeing Dream Theater?
Original Images and Words at the old Flash Gordon's over on Lorraine on the west side. They basically played, I think, the entire album. And
You are
a
so
couple
lucky.
from the first one. Yeah, that was ridiculous. I never, I don't know what, maybe 600 people, I guess, probably 4 to 500 ish.
Oh God.
I mean, as the Flashes was a great place to see shows in general, but a band like that who was just on the verge of, I think Pull Me Under video had probably been out a couple weeks or something, maybe a month or two. And yeah, it was just phenomenal.
Well, all right, Chastity, what about you? What was your first Dream Theater show?
I had tickets to the one in 05. They got snowed out. They got stuck in Colorado. I think it was 05. They got stuck in Colorado. And so that got pushed off. I got to go this year. I had tickets and plans for the last two. And every single time I'm like, one of these days I'll actually get in that room.
So how did you not make it? You said you had tickets to these tours, and why didn't you go?
So the one in, I think it was 2005 or 2006, they got snowed in Colorado. They didn't even make it to Utah. And so, like, I was there, I had a ride. My brother's like, I'm going to take you. And they're like, they're snowed in. And I'm like, well, didn't want to go anyway, which is a dirty lie, but didn't want to go anyway.
Right.
And then the dude that turned me on to Dream Theater when they came a few years after that, he's like, hey, I'm going to Dream Theater. Do you want to come? And then I'm like, yeah, let's go. And then his sister-in-law's like, I took the ticket. You can't go. I'm like,
oh.
It's like, you're mean. But her husband now runs a guitar workshop, and actually one of his students is Petrucci's wife. Like, where they just work with each other. It's like this, but on Guitar Theory. So
wait a minute. Rena Sands gets guitar instruction from somebody other than her own husband, John Petrucci?
His name is Josh, and they go around, they were introducing each other and like introducing themselves, and he goes, wait, are you? And she goes, yes. And John Petrucci walks along the background, and he's like, hey. And he's like, and I was talking to my friend's wife that stole my ticket, and she's like, I've never seen the color leave his face so quickly in that moment.
Oh my God, that is awesome.
This is a dude that made his own Majesty guitar. He bought a guitar and took a saw to it and cut it out to make his own.
No shit. So we got to get him on and ask. So what's it like teaching John Petrucci's wife guitar stuff?
Because like she's amazing. You just sit there and you're like, I'll just listen to Mean Streak. That's fine. But it's like this where they all work together and they all build the theory together. Like, this is something I'm having an issue with, or this is something I'm really good at. And they just bounce off each other. And I was like, can I just come and sit in the room and just watch y'all just do this?
No kidding. Wow. All right. All right. So, Robert, I think I know your answer to this question, but what was your first Dream Theater show?
It was the Distance Over Time and the 20th anniversary of Metropolis Part 2.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, back
where was that one again? That was
the one in Palace Theater in Canton. Ohio.
That's right. Okay, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember like we met up very briefly. Like, hey man, what's up? Like at least texted and stuff like that. Man, so you've been a fan for like that many years, and that was your first opportunity to see them.
Yeah. Well, my first opportunity would have been like during the Astonishing tour, but I had something I was doing that night for school or something. So I said, that's kind of regret doing that, but it's like, sure, whatever.
That would have been a hell of a first concert, a Dream Theater concert to see. Would be the Astonishing with that huge production and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Man. All right, Sean, your first Dream Theater show.
It was one of those home for the holiday shows at the Birch Hill in December of '95. Actually, I think it was 27 years ago tonight.
Really?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah, that was a hell of a show, man. Any show at Birch Hill was great. It's kind of like the way Brian talked about Flash Gordon's, like these cool little intimate places. I saw Sabotage there a bunch of times too, and it was just like intimate, awesome room with awesome bands. And that Dream Theater show was just really I love them already, and that show's got me hooked.
So, I mean, that brings up a good question. So, like, Chastity, like, obviously, all of us, have you seen like a major artist at like a small venue? Because I know, like, Brian, you just went to the Jeff Tate show. I couldn't make it, but you know, that's an example. For me, I think seeing Sons of Apollo in Battle Creek, Michigan, where it was like, you know, held like 330 people, was incredible. But I always go back to seeing Marty Friedman at the Grog Shop, where it holds like 150 people, and you got this world-class guitarist, and his backing band is absolutely phenomenal. And it was like $22 a ticket or something like that. Like, have you guys ever seen a band like something that impressive? And you know, imagine like you said, like seeing Dream Theater at a place that holds like 400 or 500 people. Like, you know, have you had experiences with it either with Dream Theater or with other bands? I mean, Brian, I'll start with you. Like, I mean, what is your experience with that? I mean, was it Jeff Tate recently, or was there, you know?
You know, anytime you go to a show at that House of Blues in Cleveland, like especially if they close the balcony, you're only talking what 300 to 400 they get down there maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And even if the balcony is open, you know, it's not like I just think my stance on this especially the older I get, is the more like amplification and giant speakers you got to use, the worse it sounds. And that's why I'm just never a fan of like these stadium shows and these big outdoor festivals, because like you're kind of tricking your ear into going, oh man, this sounds great, and it's like, no, it really doesn't, because it's just not that type of music. Just can't, or any type of music really, unless you're actually playing the recording. I just don't think it's meant to be blasted through PAs like that, and like it's just never going to sound as good and clean as Warm as that. But yeah, the Sons of Apollo, you know, I've seen Killswitch Engage or Queensryche at the House of Blues. You know, I told you that one that Super Intimate was really stripped down, but that Bryan Adams solo show with him, piano player, and basically Playhouse Square, which is for, you know, theaters and musicals. Like, to me, that kind of stuff is just always acoustically just sounds better, because those big outdoor like Foo Fighters and stuff, you're like, oh, it went and sounded great, and I'm like, you're watching video of it and you're like, well, I know this is from the phone, but it's like, you know, when you're 100 yards away or whatever, you know, or 200 yards away, and it's just like bouncing off everything, and you're so far, like it's not going to sound great.
Yeah, I would agree with that, man. I've been to one stadium show, and it was last summer actually. I went to see Guns N' Roses and Mammoth WVH in Detroit, and yeah, it sounded fine to us, but because we were close and close to the speakers, and like I've seen video of it since then of people like in the upper deck, and it's like just not the same. B40 says, saw Billy Squier with G.E. Smith at City Winery in New York City, about 200 people. Damn, that wow. Billy Squier and G.E. Smith, that's a hell of a combo. Yeah, I think for me, one of the things that, you know, and I don't think I brought this up on the show before, but I saw Jeff Tate acoustic at the Kent stage, which is actually where Jordan Rudess did his solo show here back in July. But I saw Jeff Tate acoustic, and it's like a little auditorium, maybe it holds like 300 people or something. And it was just like to hear his voice. Like it's always such a really cool thing when somebody that is like that, the power and the ability that a musician like that has, and to hear it in a smaller room, stripped down, and especially acoustic, like where that's the main focal point. And you can like, and you know, Sean, as a singer, you would know this, like when you can hear the musculature of a vocalist and you just know it, I always like related to, it almost sounds like when you see like a weightlifter just lifting like 100-pound barbell, like you can hear the musculature working and just delivering that power, but with such control. So I think for me, like the Marty Friedman thing, but definitely that Jeff Tate show was like, you know, to hear his voice in that environment was just unfucking believable. So, Chastity, what about you? Have you gotten to see anything like that, like a big band or a big artist, like in kind of a smaller, more intimate environment?
I don't know if they're like big. I did All American Rejects in a warehouse that had like at capacity maybe like 500 people, but it wasn't full. And then I don't know if y'all know like Ryan Shoup or like Peter Breinholt. Like, I performed with them in an expo center that was small enough that my senior year, like when I graduated high school, that's where we had my graduation. Like tiny little venue, like itty bitty little thing.
So you just said you performed with. So are you a musician?
My family had a singing group starting when I was 3, and then I was in bands and choirs all growing up. But
So you're
not
a singer
now. Not for a while, but yes.
Okay. See, I wish I would have known that. You know, we could have, like, I threw it to Sean, like talking about seeing Jeff Tate in that environment. Like, I could have thrown it to you because that's, you know, that. See the things you learn on the Fan Hangout show. All right, Robert, have you gotten a chance to see like a major, at least somebody like known or renowned, whatever, in like a more smaller, like intimate environment like that?
I don't think I have. I think the only 2 shows I've been to were both the Dream Theater shows.
So those are the only concerts you've ever been to, period?
Yeah.
Really? Okay. So I know you're into music and stuff. We talked about Queensryche and whatnot. So do you just not go? Is it not an interesting thing to you, or?
Oh no, it's half the time I'm either busy or I just completely forget that concerts are a thing.
So like the
like-
opposite of me, who plans like entire road trips around it, like.
Yeah. Like there's like the 2019 Dream Theater, only saw that because I saw a post like in the summer when they first announced it. I instantly sent it to Andy. I said, "Bro, look what they're at. They're in Ohio." But then other than that, like I don't know. I do try to look for tours like around general area like Ohio, but half the time it's either like on a weird day or like weekday, or just completely like I'm either busy that day or whatnot.
Okay. See, I road trip for it. Like, I obviously wait for something that's within driving distance on a weekend. That's like my go-to. But you know, Brian and I got tickets for the Queensryche tour, and we're going on a Wednesday in April. It's in Pittsburgh. So like we're driving to see. I mean, dude, it's Queensryche and Marty Friedman. Like you can't. To me, that's like I have to. I absolutely have to see that show. Like it's, you know. So another thing with concerts, like so this is something Brian and I have talked about. Like I've actually started missing a few shows of bands that I really like because I've seen them so many times. Like, I mean, Robert, it's not a good question for you because you've been to 2 concerts in your whole life, but you know, I mean, for Sean and Chastity, like, is there a band like you've seen them so many times you're finally like, yeah, I don't think I need to go see that anymore, even though you love them? I'll give you an example, like Megadeth. Like I don't need to see Megadeth. I know what the set list is going to be. You know, it's like, okay, like I won't go see Metallica because Lars Ulrich is a goddamn disaster. You know, but like some of my favorite bands I've seen so many times, and I know what the set list is going to be. So I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna.
I'd say after this Queensryche one, I'm probably good for, you know, because I think they've been here like almost 2 or 3 times since that show Bob and I went to, and we saw you at the Hard Rock.
Yeah.
You know, whatever. Like, and I'm pretty sure they played damn near the same set, other than one song from whatever new album was out. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm don't get me wrong, I'm pumped to see him coming up, but after, you know, this will be my second time with LaTorre, and then I just saw the Tates, so I'll probably be good for quite some time on them, you know.
Okay. Well, Sean, I'll lead off with you because I know you got to go pretty soon here. So, is there a band that you love, but you're like, yeah, and they come around, you don't jump to buy tickets anymore? Like,
I mean, just the nature of my work, it's got to be something that I need to go and see. Like if it's like Roger Waters from Floyd, or if it's Dream Theater, I'm definitely going. I'm seeing John Anderson with the Band Geeks doing Close to the Edge soon. But it's got to be like, I stopped seeing Yes after a couple of years ago because it just wasn't doing it for me. So I guess I'll say Yes, even though I don't mean it. But I just hardly go out anymore because I'm old, and there's kids on my lawn, and you know, waking up in the morning just sucks.
how old are you, man?
Yes.
Dude, that's you can't say how old you are, for God's sakes. I mean, Brian's 83. He has no problem telling people.
Oh, get off my lawn.
I bet I'm pretty sure I'm older than Sean.
A couple years, I think. Just a couple years. I'm older than John by not much.
Then how you saying you're old? I'll be 47 in February. That's not old, man.
Oh, dude, you're old. Or you're gonna be old. You're gonna be old.
I'm fat. I'm not old. There's a
Hey, you're just big for your age.
Hey, man, you can be both. Don't doubt yourself, sir. You can be old and fat.
I can confidently say, and Robert, Andy will tell you this, I will never be old. I may age, but I will never, ever be old.
Oh, then I'm 5, if you were going by
Yes.
that logic.
Well, dude, there you go. I mean, I host a goddamn nerd podcast, for Christ's sakes. Like, I still talk nerdy stuff. This past Monday, we had a monstrous debate with people about why Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. And we talk about, I mean, dude, I was in Cincinnati last night watching the Cincinnati Pops play the Force Awakens soundtrack while the movie's playing on the screen.
Oh, just get the CD and listen to it.
Dude, I'm telling you, I thankfully it's a music show, so this is music related. If you ever get a chance, if there's a movie you love and you see like that there's an orchestra doing that where they play the movie on the screen while the orchestra plays the soundtrack live, I can't tell you how amazing it is. You have to go see it. It is one of the most phenomenal experiences ever. I mean, last night, literally, I told my brother, like, it was the best Star Wars viewing experience I've had since 2005. And I've seen every movie in the theater umpteen times. But last night, like, because they do an intermission. So they played the first half of the movie, and then they do an intermission. And when the conductor came out to start the second half, he says, man, you guys are one of the most polite audiences we've had. And I'm thinking, oh, that's good. We're nice. He goes, but, this is a Star Wars crowd. He goes, this is a Star Trek crowd, or Star Wars. And everyone started booing. He's like, that's what I want. He's like, it's okay to clap. It's okay to cheer. It's okay to. And so the second half of the movie, like, cool shit would happen, and people are like, yeah, like this, like, at the part where Kylo Ren, where J.J. Abrams turned into the biggest bastard in film history, I turned my back. I would not watch Kylo Ren do something with the lightsaber to Han Solo.
Sorry,
Shut up, man.
Sorry.
Anybody who tries to kill off Han Solo is a bitch. So
Harrison Ford must be a bitch. Also, sir, I did it with Empire Strikes Back a couple of years ago.
Okay,
and
so
Empire Strikes Back will never be the same since.
But it's awesome, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
like, but I mean, last night with fans actually cheering and clapping and stuff, I haven't had that since I was at the midnight release for Revenge of the Sith in 2005. That's the last time I've had a movie crowd like actually actively interacting with the film, and it was so cool, man. It was, it's something awesome. We're all like, yeah, and like when, Rey, Force grabs the lightsaber and everyone's just going bonkers, like, oh, it's the blue lightsaber, like, I mean, Brian, like, obviously, you were 71 when Star Wars first came out in 1977. Chastity and Robert, are you guys Star Wars fans? Because Sean, I know you got to go in a minute, but you and I talked for like a while about Star Wars the other day. So are you guys, Chastity and Robert, do you guys get into Star Wars at all?
Sometimes.
Kind of, but I kind of have a hot take on Star Wars.
All right, hot take on Star Wars. Okay.
It's not as good as everyone says. That's not a hot take.
Yeah. The newest trilogy sucks.
Oh no.
That's not really. I don't think that's really a hot take,
It
unfortunately.
is to some people, but like I can't get like the original, like you will never beat the originals, and then the prequels, right, and like those are good, but then like the the newer ones, I'm like there's a lot of, I wouldn't say plot holes, but it's like that doesn't rub right with me.
It should be The Force Awakens and then falls right back to sleep and starts snoring.
What I want to do anytime that comes on.
See, I have something you might like, John.
Okay.
I have, so
Up here, Sean.
my older sister like collected all these like collector's editions of like Star Wars and Lord of the Rings, and I've got it in the metal case, the original 3, like 4, 5, and 6.
Really? Okay.
And I think it's still in the shrink wrap. Because it is a collector's and it's just sitting on my shelf in the metal case.
Yeah, I found some stuff when I was moving. Like I have what is that film format? Super 8, the really old stuff. Yeah. I've got a Super 8 my cousin gave me of the original Star Wars, The New Hope.
Like
I've
the
got
real to real type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So I've got that. I've got this really beautifully packaged CD. It's 2 CDs per movie, but it's the full soundtracks for the original trilogy. So it's A New Hope, Empire, and Jedi. So I've got that. Like I've got some crazy Star Wars stuff, man. And it's like, Robert, I'm with you. Like, I mean, I can't say that the new trilogy sucks. I mean, Chastity, have you seen all of the 3 new movies, 7, 8, and 9? The Force Awakens.
I think so.
Okay. Like,
can I say which number is which? But if you show me it, yes, I have. I don't like the numbers.
It doesn't
1,
matter.
2, 3, 4. I don't know who taught them how to count, but they need to go back to elementary school. It's not 4, 5, 6, 1, and then 2, 3, 7. Like that's.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you here, but you were probably not even born when the first movie came out, and it wasn't called
Right.
Episode 4. It was just, first of all, after you listen to Octavarium, what I need you to do is go back. We're gonna watch Star Wars, and you're gonna call it Star Wars, and then you're gonna watch The Empire Strikes Back, and you're just gonna call it The Empire Strikes Back, and then if you want to watch Return of the Jedi, that's up to you. But we're not
don't
gonna call them
say it like that,
episodes,
Sean.
But hey, man, some of my formative years involve some early moments from Return of the Jedi, and that's about as far as I'll go.
I like the original 3. I'm good. Those ones are good. I like those. I just don't like the counting. Whoever taught the counting, no.
Brian, you know me well enough to know that right now I'm holding back on a very long expository story about why they're numbered the way that they are.
Return of the Jedi, or as I call it, the Bernstein Bears go to war.
Why do I even do a show with you? Why do I even bother doing a show with you, you asshole?
Teddy Ruxpin's great.
Look, we'll just show my Ewok. Does that help?
There you
Oh
go.
yeah, there you go. See. Oh
Hey,
yeah. By the way,
Wicket.
Chastity, what is the dog's name? We forgot to bring this up.
This is Poe, and he is a Shih Tzu Yorkie mix, but he's a little Ewok.
Okay. Real quick, Adrian Schaller says, "Got to run. Happy New Year's, guys. Hope to catch more live podcasts." Adrian, thank you so much for tuning in, man. Happy New Year to you as well. Chastity, you have another dog, and if you can't bring that dog up on camera,
here.
but
Come here.
this is pertinent to the show.
Come here.
And Sean,
All
if
the
you
way
gotta
up.
go, feel free.
Come on, all the
I
way
didn't want.
All the way up on the couch.
All right, and the dog's name is.
Presley Portnoy.
There we go.
Nice.
He
So
is my standard poodle, and he's only a little bit spoiled.
So
This
it's
is his winter cut. Normally, he has the bare face and paws, but
middle name Elvis Mike.
no. If you get really long, it's Presley Portnoy Kingston, and then the whole kennel name. But
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. So that's our first ever talking into infinity dog. So there we go. So that's perfect. All right, so Sean, I know you got to go. So any last thoughts, man? Like anything you wanted to bring up, anything you want to discuss real quick before you go? Anything, or are you just gonna bolt and be like, "Yep, later, peace"?
Well, I was going to say, I'm sorry, Brian. What?
Oh, real quick. Anyone New Year's resolution? Just give me like 2.
listen to Octavarium
Okay. That's
all the
cool.
way through.
Now, are you recommending that, or
No,
are
I'm
you
saying
just-
that's going to
okay.
be mine just to appease all the
Don't give
crazy
in to
men.
them.
Yeah, seriously, don't give in to anger.
All right, Robert. New Year's resolution, since Brian's asking.
Probably practicing guitar more.
There you go.
Okay.
That's mine. I want to finish my Frankenstrat. It's almost done. So I should have brought that on camera, but all right. So Sean, do you have a New Year's New Year's resolution and then final thoughts?
Finding more time for myself, I guess. And my final thoughts are Chastity. I love your dogs. I work with animals. I work in animal rescue, so I love your dogs. Your dogs are amazing.
I like them when it's not winter. They're groomed because now that I don't sing, I'm a groomer. So
Nice.
Very right on. Very,
See,
very right on.
That's exactly why we do this, man. I'm a huge dog person as well. I'm about to start volunteering at a shelter right up the street from where I work.
Yes, dude.
do it. Do it.
Yes.
Well, it's cool because, like, again, not music related, but the place is not even a 5-minute drive, like literally on the same street that I work on, and I can go on lunches and walk dogs for an hour, and I can walk basically their walks are about 15 minutes, and so I can walk like 3 to 4 dogs in an hour and go back to work, and like because I want to volunteer, but I'm so busy all the time, like I can't really get out there on like weekends and stuff because of the band. So
All right, so the over and under on the percentage of when they get new dogs and then they're in there, John tries to pin a Star Wars name on it.
Yes.
Percentage, I'll say 35%.
50.
50? Okay.
Just yes. That's my just
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah. Don't forget, I know all the really deep names, so I could just what we named the dog this? Like, okay, they don't care. It's like, but all of a sudden, Star Wars nerds are gonna be like, every single dog in this goddamn shelter has a Clone Wars name.
His original name, Poe BB-8.
That's
Now,
fantastic.
Poe after the author or the band?
After Star Wars.
Dameron.
Okay.
See, Brian, you don't know anything.
Did I change it to after Edgar Allan? Yes.
Okay.
Because I wanted the E.
Well, there you go.
Nice.
But yeah, his original name was Poe BB-8. He was named by a 8-year-old.
My sister-in-law, their dog's name is Kylo, and it's a girl, but it's a dachshund, and Kylo is a girl, but that's the name because Kylo Ren. So there you go.
Oh man.
Yeah. So well, Sean, thank you so much for hanging out, man. I know it's been 2 hours and stuff. Thanks for making so much time, dude. We definitely got to get you back on the show, dude. And again, thank you for sending those amazing, astonishing programs. I literally sent them to 4 different countries, and it was, I was at the post office so many times. It was really, really cool. So thank you very much for hooking other Dream Theater fans up with that. That was really cool of you to do that, dude. So,
Yes.
let's get you back on the show. And honestly, dude, I drive to New York City, so maybe we'll have to meet up sometime.
Dude, let's
When I'm
do
out
it,
there.
brother. Let's
We'll
do
meet
it.
up.
You can meet all the new cats that I'm going to name, like Rees and Weequay and Big Fortuna and Salacious Crumb.
See, you kind of dogged Return of the Jedi, yet all the names you just mentioned are Return of the Jedi names.
Oh, I
so,
didn't dog it. I just wanted you to think I dogged it. Revenge of the Sith. Where do I put the H? After the T or before the I? I'm just kidding.
Oh,
Nothing but love for you folks. Thanks for having me. Merry New Year to all of you, and shine on and live long and prosper.
Appreciate you, brother. Much love, man. Happy New Year.
Peace, brothers. Bye.
Take care. So there goes Sean. That was cool as hell. So so we won't keep you guys too much longer, Robert and Chastity, but thank you guys for coming on. One of the fun things about the show for us is having you guys on and getting you guys to, be a part of the show. As we say so many times, we did this because we want to hang out with other Dream Theater fans. So we really appreciate you guys making time to come on and hang out with us and just bullshit. It went from Dream Theater to dogs to Star Wars and stuff like that. So, just really, really, really appreciate you guys for hanging out and checking out the show and stuff like that. So, Brian, it was awesome that you could make it.
It's fun, man. It's like, the show always kind of evolves into some weird stuff, and I don't know. We'll see where it takes us in the next year. One of my kind of resolutions is to definitely sort of delve back more into my keyboard playing, and I've really kind of gotten away from that, and I want to get back into it, and maybe at some point grace everyone with maybe playing a little bit of Dream Theater stuff over the air. I think might be kind of cool once I get that together. So that'd be kind of one of my resolutions, goals of the year, just sort of get back to that. And I want to get back to, I really used to enjoy reading books and fiction and horror and, and I know you're a Stephen King fan. It's things like that, and fantasy, and just kind of make time for that. There's a lot of great stuff on the streaming services, but I'm like, you know what, there's nothing like just diving into a book and I don't know, there's something more satisfying and okay, well, I just binged the 9 seasons of a new show. Yeah, it was cool, but I don't know, there's sort of an empty feeling I'm getting as I get older, and I kind of want to get back into reading and things like that. But and just kind of finding more new music, just searching and seeing what's on there, and just especially prog stuff.
Yeah, I want to finish my Frankenstrat, and I want to, I'm gonna buy a nicer computer. I just want to, for me, I want to write again. It'll never go anywhere. It's just having the ability to create is going to be cool. I back to Dream Theater, I bought the Petrucci plugin, the Neural DSP, and I've got an interface here with it and stuff like that, and I got it, I'm getting some software, and it's I miss, I love singing and doing the cover stuff, but it's I miss being creative. And other than that, I don't really make resolutions, because I feel like that's at least for me, it never works out, and it's just kind of like, hey, you're not going to do that, dude. So I have the same resolution every year, and it might sound cheesy, but I always want to say, like, hey, like, I want to be a better friend and a better person and a better husband, and stepdad than I was the prior year. Like, it's, always improve and, honor my friends and family and stuff like that. And honestly, like, not to be a cheese ass, but I think that goes along with the show too. Like, I want to be like a better podcast host and interact with you guys more, like, Robert and Chastity, like, because it's fun. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's cool. Like, one of my favorite things about the show is, again, like, doing exactly this, because I know, like, for me, like, if there was like some big Van Halen podcast, if I got to come on a Van Halen podcast and talk about Van Halen, I'd be like, this is awesome. Like, it's because it's one thing to be a fan, but it's another to actually get into a fan community and talk about it, and like, so I love that Brian came up with the idea for this show, because it gives us a platform for, Chastity, for you to come on, and for Everett to come on, Robert, for you to come on, and Sean, like, and be a part of this community. And I think it's really, really cool. And, we get a lot of emails from people that say, holy shit, like, I'm a Dream Theater fan, and I Googled Dream Theater podcast, and this came up, like, people say, I didn't think there was
do
such
that,
a thing.
by the way.
Yeah, so how'd you find the show then?
Because
we're
you
not
accused
everywhere.
me of that. The first time I put it on, you're like, oh, she Googled me. No, I didn't. It was on James Labrie's Instagram.
Oh, okay. So the deep dive, okay.
It was like, go check this out. And I was like, all right, getting on YouTube. And then I was like, I'm now going to be the weirdo that binges all of them. And I'm on episode like 42, I think now.
Right.
Just watching them straight through, because that makes sense.
That was such a crazy. Robert, were you able to catch that one, the deep dive we did with James and Chance and Paul?
I think I was. I think I started watching a little late, but I think I got a chance to actually, like, sit down and be like, James Labrie, who?
Yeah, that was so surreal, guys. Like, I mean, Brian and I, like, we're sitting there, and you can tell, like, in the episode, like, I'm talking a little faster than I normally would, and it was me trying to not fanboy, but also, like, like, during a live broadcast, we'll get, up, like, because people usually just do they'll watch a replay or download the audio version. So the live stuff, like tonight, we got up between like 15 and 20 people, and that's pretty good for a live thing. But that one, it was like 70, 80, 90, and the comments just looked like a roulette wheel. So I'm trying to, like, pay attention to what's happening and, the conversation, but also bring up comments so that the fans can interact with James and stuff like that. And it was like, that was so unbelievably surreal. Like, we got done with that, and I felt like I had, like, run a marathon. I was so emotionally spent, because I'm like, oh my God, it's like one of my two favorite vocalists of all time. And I'm just sitting here talking about his record with him. Like, that is just the most unbelievable thing. And, like, and again, like, back to my point, like, it's cool that you guys can come on and ask questions and stuff like that. Like, like, I mean, full disclosure, we were trying to get one of the guys in the band on tonight as a complete surprise. I didn't even tell you this, Brian, but I had reached out, 3 people. And I was trying to get one of them on to just show up out of nowhere, so that when you guys are on camera, like, you're on with Dream Theater. You know what I mean? Like, I thought that'd be cool. You guys could be like, hey, man, ask a question. There's bullshit with Dream Theater. Like, and, so, I mean, back to my resolution thing, I would like to improve as a podcast host, but, kind of grow the show, and, but I also have you guys on, I think, more often. I mean, it's cool to do the Fan Hangout once a year, but I think I'd like to have people on camera more. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, Brian, where do you stand on that? Actually having people on a little more often?
Yeah, I think it'd be cool, mix it up a little bit, with this show's kind of evolving into, we don't know exactly what, because we've said before, it's going to come a time we're going to run out of the albums and things, and have to kind of come up with topics and move on. But so yeah, we'll see what's in store. But yeah, just to echo John's thoughts, I've had a great time with it so far. I'm probably about to have to jump off here myself, but man, this has been awesome, and I hope everyone has an awesome 2023, and looking forward to talking to you guys and seeing you on air.
Well, hold on for another minute. Just give me a minute here, you drunk ass.
We just started 2.5 hours ago.
So yeah, we are going to do kind of like a little show shift. We're going to change the name to a Dream Theater centric podcast, because we do like talking about other bands and albums and kind of keeping the music thing rolling. So we're going to be doing that. But yeah, Brian, I'm gonna close up with you, but real quick, I'm gonna let Chastity and Robert go. Chastity, Robert, thank you guys so very much for making the time to come on the show. Thank you guys for watching the show, listening to the show. Like, I appreciate it so very much. I hope everything is great with you guys. Robert, next time you talk to Andy and Sarah and the kids, I love you guys. Family wise, I love you guys and I miss you very much. And give everybody my love over there. And guys, thanks so much for coming on, man. I appreciate you guys very much. So carpe diem to both of you.
Thanks,
See,
guys.
I was gonna tell you, y'all got to look up "Oh Holy Night" when James does it.
Yes, I have that
That's
on
a
my
thing?
Dream Theater fan clubs. Oh yeah,
It needs Kenny G in the background, and then
Yeah.
it'd be fine.
I gotta look that one up.
yeah.
Do it.
I'll find a way to get this stuff onto my computer, Robert. But I've got a CD of like every single like Christmas CD and bootleg or whatever that they actually release. It's like 7 hours of stuff. Like I'll find a way to get it on a thumb drive somehow and get it over to you. You wouldn't believe the stuff that's on there. So that's one of the
Do it.
things. Yeah.
Do
I'm
it.
trying to like venture out more with like artists, like because it's mainly like Dream Theater and then get into Queensryche, and I'm trying to get into like other stuff like I think Dio and like Megadeth. I'm also not a huge Metallica fan, but like some of their stuff's pretty decent. So I'm trying to like just find whatever I can, just listen to it, just to be like, well, what do I like and whatnot.
Symphony X.
Actually, what's the one song?
Subliminal messaging.
I know one of their songs that was really cool.
Yeah.
I
The
can't think of it
Odyssey?
right now. Oh, End of Innocence.
End of Innocence. Yeah, great song.
Mm-hmm. Good song.
Perfect, dude. Yeah. See, we don't get us started. We'll be rolling again. And Justice for All is musical perfection. So just let's leave it there. But yeah, thank you guys very much for hanging out, dude. And I will see you guys very soon. I'm going to close up here with Brian.
Heck yeah. Thank you very
You
much.
guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, guys. Dude, that was a freaking blast as usual. I love doing this show, man. It's so much fun to have other people on and just get other people's opinions. And like we've always said, it's like the show is a fan show, but we want the interaction. We want people to be a part of this. Like we want them to host with us and get in the chat, and we can talk about their comments and stuff like that. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's this is just, it's amazing. And like I said, I think it'd be fun to have people on a little more frequently. I was dead serious about that Octavarium cage match between Sean and Chastity and Adam Rishog. Like, I think that would be fun. And dude, we got a lot of great stuff coming up this year. So I'm very excited for our 2023. We're now a little over 50 episodes, and we definitely have some big interviews in the pipeline. I know we're going to be talking some Sons of Apollo. We're going to have Paul Logue on again. We're going to be doing a deep dive of Empire, Queensryche's Empire, with Paul Logue, because that's his favorite band. As the writing sessions for the new James Labrie record goes on, hopefully we can get some updates from Paul on that. We can talk about the new James record. So a lot of great stuff coming on. And dude, to put a bow on all this, hope you had a great Christmas. Quit dicking with your microphone. You're going to be off air in about 30 seconds.
It won't stay up. That's what she said.
Well played. Yeah, man. Like, hope you had a great Christmas. Hope you have an awesome New Year's tomorrow. Go Buckeyes for sure. It's a long shot,
man.
but hopefully our Ohio State Buckeyes could pull off the upset.
Yeah, I mean,
and then
it's if you look at it on paper, it's not a long shot. I mean, we can't just go off the Michigan game.
Stop. It's a long shot.
It's not. Not
Yes,
if you can actually compare the stars and the players on each team. That's what they want you to think.
No, Ohio State did not have a dominant win against a power program this year. So
No, but neither did Georgia, other than Tennessee.
I agree to disagree, but I want it to happen so bad, and I want Michigan to win their game because I want Ohio State Michigan for the national title, and I want
everyone wants.
That would be the greatest national championship game ever, especially if we beat their ass. Because they could be, oh, we beat you the last 2 years. Like, yeah, but we took a national title from you.
Oh yeah, they're already saying that if that happened, that would be probably the highest rated sporting event in the history of the United States. Like, it would blow any Super Bowl ever. Like,
yep. Oh, could you imagine? I mean, I would be taking the next day off work. I'd be like, yeah, I'm not coming in. Like, if we lose, I'll come in. If we win, just don't expect to.
I mean, my thing is, like, there's no reason for us to get embarrassed. If we lose, we lose. But we should be able to play 60 minutes of football and not get blown off the field. That's not asking too much.
I hate to say it, but I think we're getting blown off the field. But I would love to be wrong. So, dude, once again, thank you for coming up with the concept for the show. I always have a blast jumping on and doing this with you. And, man, here's to a kick-ass 2023, man. Let's keep growing the show. And, I started us an Instagram page. And
Time for your third gorilla fart.
there we go.
Oh,
Finish the gorilla fart.
I can't believe you're actually drinking those.
Oh, it's horrible. I mean, dude, put it that way. That was 2 shots, and I'm still not done with it after 2.5 hours. That's how bad it is.
I don't know how your stomach's gonna like. Hey, what do I forgot? What do I owe you for that Queens Right tickets?
Are you really gonna do this on the air? We can do this when we hang up.
Just
All
tell
right.
me what it is so I can. We're not
I
on the
don't
air
know.
anymore, are we?
Yes, we are.
Oh, we're still on the air.
Asshole. Good Lord. Wow. Yeah. So let's
Hey, what
finish
do I
up, and then
owe you for that Queens Right ticket?
yeah, good. Welcome to Talking Into Infinity, the personal conversations. So, anyways, man, I appreciate you coming up with the show. And, dude, here's to an amazing 2023. And to all of you guys who have tuned in and stuck around for 2.5 hours, to our amazing guest hosts, Everett and Chastity and Robert and Sean, thank you so much. Hennig is going to come out at some point all the way from Germany, and I talked to him for a good 15 minutes during our test call earlier this week. He's fantastic. He's going to come on and talk about working with the band and working in the music industry, so hopefully he feels better. To all of you guys, we appreciate and love you guys so very much for checking out the show, supporting the show. Again, we do this for you guys. Like, we have a blast with it, but this is for you guys, and we can't tell you how much we appreciate all the messages that we get and the support and the chat comments and everything. So until next time, I am your host, John. He is Brian. We will be live 2 Thursdays from now, so check that out. 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Facebook, YouTube, talkingintoinfinity.com, and the cmsnetwork.com. And as usual, guys, what is it, Brian? What is it? I believe it's Carpe Diem.
Talk to you next year.